Oh, sorry, that sounded like could be a little too black. I don't want to culture appropriate. Lately, people have been telling me that I have been writing the backs of black people playing black music, so I should probably try to play it really white. Huh? How could I play it really white? How would a white person play it? Oh well, pros and cons, pros and cons. The world blames dad when it's really your mom. Anyways, yeah. I didn't know I was going to do that, but I guess Satan came in my mind and told me to do it. But it's funny because a lot of people have been saying this. People I've known for 10 years, right? 10 years around town, I've sang with them, I've hung out with them, considered friends, right? But as soon as I start speaking the truth that I see, all of a sudden, I've been riding the coattails of black music, which I find so funny because any other culture, right? As an American, if I went, like, I have a fan base in the Philippines, right? If I sang a song in Tagalog and did music that they do, they're honored. They're like, oh my gosh, you're celebrating our music with us, right? Any culture does that, and I don't understand why that is used. It's just out of anger and wanting to hurt somebody else and control them, and it just luckily I'm not hurt. I'm just surprised, But then again, I'm not surprised because it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's like I'm a songwriter, right? I'll make songs, create music. Imagine somebody does a cover of my song that I wrote and made, right? And then I hit them and be like, "You're just trying to ride the back coattails of me." Like, how arrogant and prideful, and I don't know. It's just crazy, man. I just don't get it. Because at the end of the day, my whole life that I ever, because I've always listened to black music and I like it and I appreciate it.
What is black music?
It's like soulful R&B kind of, music that the black folks make.
Is it louder than white music?
Louder?
Yeah.
Depends on how loud the volume is. No, but I've always done it as a appreciation because I liked it, and then so I always thought that black people were the best singers, So I studied and listened to them, and yeah, it's crazy to have it flipped around and turned on me, and not everybody, but there's been quite a few people that have said that, and it's just crazy to me because it's about celebrating music, It's not about credit. And some of these people that say stuff like this, they don't even sing. They don't even make music. They just like credit themselves. They're like, oh, because I'm black and it's black culture music,
they share
I'm going to say that to you. But it's like, well, you don't even know how to make music. Like,
in that case, I'm taking credit for electricity, and I want to be thanked for electricity.
Exactly. I'm like, hey, that's we made that.
Yeah, for the roads you drive on, and for the cars, for all the trucks out there. I want thank yous for all the Henry Fords out there. Please.
But it's really dumb, And I mean, people have to be very angry and upset to say stuff like that. And it just turn because all my posts I make and stuff, I say things from the heart and I say it out of honesty, no hatred, But people they despise me, and it has to be because I'm white. Because if I were black saying it, I mean, hey, maybe they'd say the same thing because a lot of friends of mine who are black that speak on certain truths and stuff, and we agree on a lot of stuff. They're called Uncle Toms and Coons and Cast It Out. But it's just mind-blowing, man. It's just crazy. There's an elephant in the room. Everyone knows it's you. Hard to believe it's true. The elephant in the room is you.
Jake Anderson says, Blockbuster for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blockbuster. I loved going to Blockbuster with my parents as a kid. And you go pick out your movies, your $5 new movies, and your $3 used ones.
I used to go rent video games like from Sega Genesis.
I loved it. I missed the video stores. That
And
was a
Nintendo
trip.
64. Yeah, I'd be like, Dad, can I rent a game? He's like, all right. And we'd go rent a game, and then I'd force him to play with me just so I could win.
Remember how it used to be all the rated R movies and the adult section would be in the corner with a curtain, at least the
Oh
and,
yeah.
you're just like, what are all the guys doing in there? Like, that's the adult section.
I forgot about that.
It was
And
all
then you'd see-
separated.
but there was like, not porn, but
Yeah, they had a porn section at this one place I used to go to called
that was
Auditory
called
Odyssey.
Video Store.
Yeah,
It wasn't a Blockbuster.
It wasn't a Blockbuster. Yeah, they wouldn't have porn there. But it was
But
at
I
a
remember
video
those
store.
Video Odysseys type things for
Yeah,
sure.
I loved it. It was always like some pothead with selling incense at the front.
You're all young and you're like looking in the corner trying to look through the cracks so you can see a boob.
Always. I would just see the little crack and you see the guys. And they had the porn sets, all those huge cases. It was like gigantic cardboard cases. It was weird. Yeah, I wouldn't know firsthand. I just remember looking through the curtains. Raymond, N64 Mario Kart. 64 was like the shit.
But I will say that Nintendo Wii Mario Kart 8, it's pretty lit. Who do we got in the chat? So
We got Raimundo,
Raimundo,
Jake Anderson,
Jake Anderson,
and Anderson.
Anderson,
Mr. Anderson. Of course, Matt from Indiana.
Matt.
Living the dream. Don't go and move to Gary, man.
Who else?
Who else?
We're
is
gonna
in
lose
here?
it.
I think that's it right now.
Oh, it's like, you dirty rat, I'll kill you, you dirty rat.
Oh, Raymond lives in Chicago. Well, you gotta get the hell out of there.
Man. Yeah, I thought I had it bad here.
Yeah, Chicago's bad. Mr. Anderson.
Well, yeah, look, I got this, I ordered this pepper spray online. I mean, I don't know how strong it is, I don't know how powerful it is. But I know, man, these days it's like you could easily get jumped, attacked, whatever. I can't take any chances, man. It's not that I'm afraid, I'm just prepared.
Just be prepared.
You know, you never know, man.
You should have a nice collection of self-defense items.
When people that you've known for 10 years turn on you and they hate you, then people that I have no idea who they are, they're going to hate me too. So.
And people who are angry, sometimes it's not always those you suspect. They're so obvious, but anger will drive a person to do some really messed up things.
Yeah, anger is bad, man.
A lot of people in jail for murder, and all it was literally they were under a spell for a brief moment. They got angry, pissed, killed somebody, snapped out of it, and like, oh man, what did I do? You hear that all the time. So
I remember I used to date this girl, and they're from Canada, and her parents would say, they're totally anti-gun, of course. And the parents would be like, oh, if you had a gun, you don't know what you're capable of with that, because there's all types of emotions, and an emotion can come over you, and nobody knows what they're capable of under, any emotion and things that could happen in your world, and you could kill someone. And at the time, I didn't really think about it. Now that I've woken up, I'm like, no, actually, that's only possible if you have anger and you're an emotional person that is out of control with your emotions. And I look back, I'm like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
yeah, anger will drive. I mean, every stupid thing I've ever did was born out of anger or some kind of emotion. That's all it is. You just get seduced by your feelings. Your thoughts tell you, go ahead, do it, run that light, drink that beer, go drive. Whatever it is, it all starts up here, which is why you need to disconnect from your thoughts. They don't help you. You can't have God giving you good ideas and bad ideas. That's nuts.
God doesn't even give ideas.
Right.
God, I realize that, man. God actually just shows you the way. Like you see an outcome, and it only happens when you're present and fully in action. That's how I create now. It's like if I just put my hand somewhere and I start playing right, it's like whatever it is, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do. Because the more I think about what I'm going to do, I'm going to mess up.
Did you see the new Project Veritas? No, but I was telling him, I saw the still frame that James O'Keefe posted. It looked like an Antifa carrying an AR-15 rifle.
Oh, so they can't do that.
They're also getting armed.
They're anti-gun.
Yeah. So, Jake, I don't know if you want to call in, that we have a number, you can call in.
308-5559.
You can call in, talk to us about it. I didn't watch the video, but I'm not surprised. I mean, the next phase, I'm sure we're going to see more violent attacks from Antifa.
We know the next phase is going to be right around the time when Hillary Clinton goes to court on September 9th.
Yeah.
Be prepared.
Riots are one thing, but we've yet to see bombings, gunfire, and I think we're gonna see more of that. And they're gonna blame white people, white nationalists, which is hardly a problem in this country. And white nationalist is not a bad word at all. It means a person who is white.
Who puts their
cares about
country first.
That's all it means. I'm a white nationalist.
You put your country first. and you happen to be white. You know, I got a lot of black nationalist friends. Is that horrible?
Yeah. You know, our Reverend is a black nationalist. He's black, and he
He
loves
black.
his nation. You know, I'm white, and I love my nation.
But it's just like, you know, your country is your home, right? Do you put your home first out of your whole neighborhood, or do you put your neighbor's house first? You put your family and your house first, and then you worry about your neighbors. That's how everybody in the neighborhood works, right? So it's the same thing. Your country's your home, and then you worry about the rest of the world. Just like as an individual, I realize, you know, it starts with yourself, right? You have your own problems in your own life. You overcome that, and then you take on bigger problems, like, you know, with your family or something. You got your family you care about, and you help them with their problems, and then you take on your community's problems, right? You want to look out for the community, and then you take on the state problems. Hey, well, you know, look out for that, and it just expands all the way out.
Yeah, but at the smallest unit, where it starts, where we need to focus, the root is the family.
Yeah, you
If the
can't
family is destroyed-
start way out here and then work in. It doesn't
Yeah.
work that way.
And
It's
that's
always
like-
better to start inward, just like working on yourself or whatever it is.
That's why you're never gonna fix. There's no police brutality problem, but if you want to get rid of any excessive force on both sides, you want to get rid of aggressive people who put themselves in situations and force cops to be harder on them. Well, then fix the root. Don't complain about the fruit. Go back and fix the root.
Well, what exactly is police brutality? Because, you know, I've never in my life seen cops just come up and start beating somebody up that's innocent walking down the street or anything. The only time I've ever seen, and I used to watch the show Cops, my favorite show. All those shows like LAPD or, you know, Police Live, whatever they are, like I love those shows. And in LA growing up, it's like I've been in different places around here, man, and I've seen, and I lived in Orange County too, and I see the difference in crime from there and here, and people are always resisting, you know, not being compliant, not listening.
Overly aggressive.
And that's what's going to make the cop have to use force in the first place. Of
Yeah.
course there's dirty cops out there, but that's just excessive force, you know? What does police brutality mean? And that's actually a good question. If you guys want to call in and tell us what you think police brutality is. Because if you're like, we got to stop police brutality, what does that mean?
We saw an interesting story about Little Yummy.
Oh yeah, I guess it's a really old story, but it's still relevant. It was in the 90s, and it's really sad, man. This little kid, he was 11 years old.
By the time he was 11,
He was 11,
he was a murderer.
His whole life, you know, he grew up with a mother who was a prostitute, and like a drug addict, crackhead.
He was physically abused, sexually abused.
Yeah, all kind of abuse, man. He had cigarette burns all over him as a kid, and
You see his mugshot.
he ended up being like a killer, you know.
Yeah, by 11, and he had like no soul. You look at his eyes, and the kid is just pure anger. He's a demon.
Yeah, and all the you know, the gangbangers in the neighborhood and stuff, they utilized the kid because he wasn't an adult, so he couldn't be arrested.
And he
So
could
they
do
had-
all these crimes.
They had him work for them and do all the dirty work and, you know, rob places or whatever. And it's just so evil, man, to think that adults could do that. Like, they'll use a kid for their own benefit, and it's just sad, man.
Yeah, look it up, Little Yummy. It's and it shows it. And then
I posted it on my Facebook.
The messed up part was like at his funeral, you see his mom crying. This mother who was probably part of it. Well, was for sure part of his abuse because a kid doesn't just grow up to be like that. By 11, if he's destroyed, it was by her doing.
Yeah, she's acted
crying
so
there.
sad, like,
My
oh,
baby,
like
Little
I
Yummy.
had no idea this would happen. What are
Yeah.
you talking about? This kid was obviously just so abused, man.
But that's that arrogance. They can't admit that they did that they destroyed their own children.
Yeah.
Terrible. You know, like that's the root. You know, no more excuses. And you look at this video, you see nothing but kids in the hood, and you don't see any white people making them. They're not making them do this. They're not making them go sell drugs and start gangbanging by 9, 10, or 11. It's because there's no fathers in the home. The mothers are all angry and mean.
It's bad. It's bad. It's more than no fathers in the home, too. It's bad choices. It's generational, you know. Because, you know, you could entertain the idea to think that, well, because of slavery, right? But if you ask, like, our Reverend Jesse, he grew up in the Jim Crow laws. And he says, you know, that back then, there was way more black-owned businesses. There was more family. You know, it wasn't until later on that there became gangbangers and stuff like that. And that's something I want to know is when and how did gangs and stuff come about? When did that start happening? Because it wasn't like ever since slavery all of a sudden it was like that. It was family oriented, in the Jim Crow laws, you know, the laws were messed up, and I think that a lot of white people knew that it was wrong, which is why they ended it. You know, white people stood up for black people because they wanted it to end.
Yeah, it was on the way out. I mean, even the Civil War was not fought over slavery because if you really dig into it, it was already out of fashion. People were over it. They didn't like it. It was a dying system. If it would have naturally went the way of the dinosaur, they're not real, but it would have ended by itself. But the cheap excuse of fighting for slavery, that wasn't it. It was about federal government, federal versus states' rights. And they didn't want the South to secede and become a separate country, so they went to war to preserve their union. But you know, history is not what it seems, and you shouldn't believe everything. You know, whites they accounted for more slaves sold and traded during the slave period, more than there were blacks. There were more white slaves sold in Africa than there were black slaves brought to America.
And there's still slaves to this day in Africa, black slaves.
Yeah.
And nobody's.
You can go buy them for about $400. You can buy a slave.
People don't care about that.
Yeah, not one word from all these celebrities and people.
And you know, people are you know, this trending thing about you know, it has to be about stopping racism with cops and all that stuff, right? But if you try to help in a different angle and share your opinion about what you see as the problem, you're casted out. You know, they're hateful. You're not supported. You're not standing with people the right way. People have to control you to only follow a narrative that everyone else, you know, is doing, and that's not love, man. Love is honest. Love is the absence of anger and hate, and you know, I'm not gonna let that stuff stop me from speaking up and saying the truth and, you know, what I see is true. And I think if everyone was able to share their honest perspective, and people had open ears to take criticism and listen, there has to be a willingness and an honesty to be able to grow for anybody, right? If you just stay in your ego and you don't want to listen to anything and be open and you want to get mad and defensive, you're never going to grow. And that's the thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, calm down, get out of your feelings. It doesn't help you in any way. And in fact, most people you need to admit that you don't know much of anything. Everything you were taught, we all went through the same public school system. We all had the same, you know, nonsense programming. If you don't understand that communism was already influencing our school programs for the last 50, 60 years, well then you just need to slow down, say less words, and go study first, because a lot of the things that you think you know were exaggerated, outright lies, or distorted, just like the whole slave trade was distorted.
And
white people were not majority slave owners.
It's so intellectual to try to get caught up in history, try to get caught up in conspiracies about how the system's operating and working and all those things, right? When there's timeless principles that are forever, that's where we have to look, man, if we want our life to change. And it's the family, and it's character and morality and hard work and, you know, like
accountability.
Accountability. And those things are what's right in front of us and what we're capable of doing. You know, like all this other intellectual stuff is like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And we never have answers. But that's how we get answers, is that if everybody really worked on themselves and wanted to do what was right and be the best they knew how, get married, have a family, like things would you look up and be like, oh, damn.
You would turn this around in a couple of generations. Just
Exactly.
like they've demoralized several generations worth of Americans, if we become perfect examples, then we can turn this around with better generations.
When he says they demoralize, that's the media. You know, the mainstream media with the movies and TV shows and the people that are the controlling the narrative.
And they're not Americans. Some of them weren't even born here. But you got to look at how media serves this global agenda. And if you don't understand that, well, then, my friend, you're blind. There is direct programming involved here. Look up a guy named Yuri Bezmenov, ex-KGB agent. He used to work in India to subvert Indian politics and Indian society. And it was the same techniques and tactics that they used in Russia for the 1917 revolution. You have to come in and you start using the media to make the people, the host nation, hate themselves. You twist their history so that they're nothing but bad guys, and you import a bunch of immigrants and a foreign culture at a high rate to outbreed them, outpace them, and then you teach them to hate the host nation, and that's exactly what we have here. It happened in Germany before World War II. It's happening now. Read books. Exactly, Raymond. And don't read books that reinforce the opinion of the official narrative, because guess what? They own many of the big publishing companies. So you need to think outside the box. And the best way to start with the the positions that make you feel uncomfortable, the ones that disagree with you.
And you know, that reminds me of a friend of mine. I don't know if he's my friend anymore. I'm always his friend, but I don't know if he's my friend. But he told me that you grow the most listening and learning music that you don't like to listen to. And I always remember he said that because I was like, man, that's so true. Because if you're always learning and making music that you like to listen to, it's never going to stretch. You don't like listening to it because it's uncomfortable because you're not used to it. But you get used to the music that you're not comfortable. It's the same thing with books or any, like, whatever it is. It's like, that's how you stretch. You're like, whoa, you don't like something? The key is to like everything because you've got acclimated to it. And you're like, oh, damn, that's awesome.
And you shouldn't have an attachment to anything. If someone brings you, like, there's topics that people don't want to talk about, like World War II, the root causes of it, what really happened, what didn't happen. Some people refuse to discuss that topic, and that shows me that they actually have no interest in knowledge. They're working off emotion, because if you were out of your feelings, you should be able to talk about the topic, hold your ground, or be open and hear some new facts. But most people will just try to shut you down, call you names, throw labels at you, and refuse to engage.
And understanding is key for everything, I think. And just because you understand doesn't mean that you agree or accept it, right? And a lot of my friends that I understand where they're coming from, and I understand why they think the things they do. But it doesn't mean that I agree or think that it's the actually true or right, And anybody who doesn't, hear where I'm coming from, I'm not going to hate them for it,
With the super chat, our buddy Trails Von D / William Von Arts.
What's up, Trails?
He dropped us a 5 on it.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, man. We do appreciate the super chats. YouTube's gonna take a fat cut, but we will, once we can access those funds, we will upgrade to better mics, try and get some guests on the show, and just make it more interactive and with video content that we can stream at the same time while we're talking. It's important. So let's see. Black Step 10. What really happened? Okay, well, I'll tell you this much that I understand. World War I.
Well, we gotta be, I don't know what we're gonna get demonetized or banned or whatever. Are we allowed to talk about this stuff?
I think so. I'll try and keep it
it's
brief.
my channel.
World War I, brought in Germany and other countries into the battle. Germany wasn't the focus of it. I believe it was Austria and Hungary. But in any case, the one who ended up paying the bigger price was Germany, and they destroyed their economy. They had the worst depression and inflation on record. You need a wheelbarrow full of money to go buy something. It's so bad that as soon as you got paid, you had to run to go buy your goods because the dollar could drop within that time frame. It was just dropping and dropping. So, and they also were suffering from a media that was foreign-controlled, central banks, and what Germany became was like the new whorehouse of Europe. They had the first transgender operation in Berlin. They were putting LGBT topics into all the programming, schools, media, newspapers. It's what we're seeing now happening in America and throughout the West. And then that created conditions that caused the German population to stand up and push back. So I'll leave it at that. Those who know, those who don't, look into it. I would highly recommend a documentary called Europa, The Last Battle. It's just a documentary with some professors who hold different opinions, but it's called Europa, The Last Battle.
It makes me think of scientists, like mainstream science gathers all these scientists that all agree on the same stuff. And they never shine light on the scientists that exist, experts on things that oppose, right? The mainstream never wants to show you opposition because they want everybody to think that this is just the way it is. But there's so many people out there who see things differently, and I wish that people were more open to hearing different possibilities and different perspectives about things, scientifically. Because I like science. But I don't like that pseudoscience stuff that is like, I don't know. It's like they talk about dark matter. They seem to know so much, or like black holes. I remember. Maybe think of like Netflix. There's all these documentaries on there.
Stuff that they can't prove.
They can't prove it. They act like they know what they're talking about, and if you really listen to what they're saying, they don't know what they're talking about. I watched that black hole documentary, and it says it started off with black holes have always been a mystery and still are a mystery to this day. And then they go off and you start telling you all about them. And then you're like, wait, I thought it was a mystery, and it's still a mystery to this day. How do you know all this stuff about it?
Yeah. Wait,
It's contradicting.
If you truly wake up, man, like I shared it with him. I wanted to be a doctor. I did really well at sciences. I was a 4.0.
What you gonna be, Doc?
You know, yeah. And I dove into it. I took every course under the sun, anything and everything, every upper grad science course.
Outside courses?
Outside courses? Like,
You said
yeah.
you took every course under the sun.
That's right. Anything that existed. Genetics, physics, advanced physics, everything. And what he said is true. A lot of the theories that people take as fact are simply theories. And when I would press the teachers, this is before I even woke up to anything, but when I would pose a question, they had no good answer. They would ramble on, or they would say, well, that's just what the book says. You know, they don't have a good idea. Like gravity. They would explain why a bird can overcome gravity, but the ocean sits there is because there's lesser gravity and there's lesser and stronger forces of gravity, which makes no sense. Like gravity just knows when to apply more force and when not to. It makes no sense, but if you make it density, it all makes sense for density.
Doesn't gravity change depending on elevation?
No, it's supposed to change with the mass of the object you're on, like the Earth. Like gravity on the moon is different because it's smaller.
What is it? Something changes. Is it the air? The density of the air?
Yeah.
There is a change in elevation.
Yeah.
But there's no difference in gravity at all. I think that there might be a difference.
No, there shouldn't be. It's still pushing you down at 10 meters per second squared.
So no matter where you are on the Earth, if you drop something, it's always going to be the same exact thing.
Gravity should have the same force that it exacts on you. But I don't call it gravity. It's density. It's just density makes sense. Gravity makes no sense. You know, and you know, again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but most of the stuff that you're gonna repeat when people say that stuff is stuff you heard in class. Chicago. I'm not sure who it is. Hello, who's this? Father's here? Kevin. What's up, Kevin? 1 second, let me set you up on the mic stand. What's up, Kevin?
Oh man, I just want to call and talk about the autonomous zone in Seattle.
Oh, can you explain what that is for the people who might not have heard about it?
Yeah. Oh man, it's basically just a little freaking hellhole that the communists have created, and the government has pretty much let them set up shop, do their own thing, take over businesses, take over streets, take over blocks.
Was that kind of similar to what you were talking about, how they gave Antifa a whole block? Or
Yeah,
something?
that's exactly it. They let them occupy several blocks. I believe there's also a police precinct on that block that they also occupied.
Yep, that's what I think too. I heard that too.
Yeah, it's nuts.
How do people just automatically gain a whole block or something? Did they purchase it? Is it
No,
land that
they're occupying it. They took it by force supposedly, but really, what the police let them.
I don't understand.
They're just letting them get. They should be rushing that with armored vehicles and tanks and just jackboots to the face.
How are you allowed to do that? So you could get a whole group of people and go steal someone's house and be like, well, we took it with force. It's ours now.
Not if you're white. If you're Antifa, yeah.
Well, Antifa's white. There's a lot of white Antifans.
Yeah.
Antifans.
But they're communists, so they're letting it happen. We're watching. This is government-sanctioned activity. What do you think about this? How do you think they achieved it?
What I heard was that there was a threat. I heard there was a threat to the police station, and they pretty much got the police out, and the police just let them do it. They're just like, it's so weak, man. It's insane how if there's a police threat, then they need to try to discover who it is, investigate who it is, and arrest them. And if you say these things, oh, you're just a bootlicker, you're a bootlicker, you're a cop sucker. It's like, oh my gosh, they want to just freaking let these little freaking dope fiends, little heroin junkies, pieces of shit.
Hey, you gotta watch your mouth though, bro.
Watch the language.
That's what they are, though, man. They're a bunch of like druggies. Let's look at these people. They're a bunch of freaking drug addicts.
Yeah, I don't agree. These the kids who make up these rioters and protesters and Antifa, they're no good, you know. It's just a bunch of angry children being manipulated. Some people are well aware of it, and there's big money behind this. This is a corporate-sponsored revolution. You know, this is not organic. This is not of the people.
Insane. And can you years ago, would you believe me if I told you, alright man, there's going to be a revolution and there's going to be people burning every major city in America, all across Europe. They're going to take over blocks, set up shop, take over complete blocks of major cities in America. You'd be like, you're nuts, dude. They would never allow that. You crazy? If they try to do that, they just bring in the National Guard and end it, nip it in the bud. Nope. It's almost like they're allowing it, they're encouraging it, and they want it.
They are.
Mayors are a bunch of communists too, so they're like supporting the communists. It's crazy stuff.
I mean, people don't realize that you don't need to have a majority in power necessarily. You just have to have people in key places throughout the infrastructure of government. You know, have a couple generals in your pocket, have certain governors and mayors in your pocket, local PD, and that's all it is. A couple key points can give the orders, can fire and isolate any people who dare stand up, and before you know it, you've got a dictatorship. You've got communism here, and that's what's happening. I mean, obviously it's going to be a new form of it, but it's the same idea. It's a bunch of hateful people who project like they're fighting for freedom, but they're not. They're fighting out of hatred for whites, for America, for the values that made this country great.
Did you hear the people say? I heard something, and I don't know if it couldn't be true. I didn't think it was true, but they're calling for soy. They wanted soy.
Yeah.
Is that true, or someone made that up?
Yeah, they said they ran out of food, so they were like, "Can you please send us vegan meat alternatives and soy?" Yeah.
The Antifa people?
Yeah.
So wait, because they're all a bunch of soy boys?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I thought that was a joke. I thought people were making stuff up. They needed their soy intake. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that stuff is terrible for men.
We need more soy to increase our beta.
Yeah, that feminizes men. It's like estrogen. And I don't care what crackpot scientists or what study people try and cite. There's a reason why the United Nations is also pushing a vegan, vegetarian diet. It's a slave diet. You're malnourished, you're malnutrition. You're not going to think straight. At the same time, you're getting bombarded with media that makes you angry and emotional. It's all just a cocktail for control.
Yep, I agree completely. So, where do you think this is going to end? What do you think is going to happen? They're just going to naturally disperse, and you think they're going to have to kick them out
What do you think,
by
Joe?
force? Like, what are they going to do?
Man, I have no idea because I didn't even know that was possible in the first place, that could even happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't do anything about it now, like, why would they do anything about it at all? I don't get it.
Yeah, I think, we can't conclude to the future, but I'm going off everything I see in the present and every bit of escalation and every step and piece of the puzzle that falls into place. This doesn't look like it's going anywhere but further conflict, more destabilization. I mean, we haven't seen anything yet. I'm sure we're in for more major violent outbursts. God forbid, explosions, mass shootings. It's the typical strategy. I mean, they've done it before. You look at some of these school shootings, like in Florida, out of that one particular county in Florida, Broward County, with very well documented corrupt law enforcement, and they just seem to have all these shootings happen in their district on their watch. And all these crisis actors that just seem to pop up at multiple mass shootings. It's just, it's Hollywood. The CIA and Hollywood come from the same DNA, and I don't think we've seen their best yet. I think they've got a lot more in store for us.
I agree. What do you think of that term, bootlicker? Because I feel like that's just getting thrown around left and right. If you're against these rioters and these Antifa people, and you're supporting and you defend the cops in any sort of way, and say you don't want to defund them and this and that, then all of a sudden you're a bootlicker. Oh, you're a bootlicker. It's like, what's your thoughts on that tactic they're using?
It's the same thing. It's like when we speak up about the fact that there is no racism and blacks cause most of their own problems. That it starts in the home. There's way more black on white crime than there ever was white on black crime. and they're going to call you racist, or if I question, you know, the World War II narrative, then I'm anti-Semitic. It's just it's a communist way of shaming you and trying to get you to shut up and be quiet. And so I just embrace it. I know what I am. I know what I'm not. I know that I don't hate anybody. I know that I'm aware of things, and I'm not going to be swayed by emotion. So I expect the world to call me all kinds of nasty names, but I can't let that affect me and ever touch me.
Exactly, just more name calling. And what about this? All these statues getting torn down. I feel like they're going hardcore, man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of erasing history. There's a lot of negative things that have happened in history, but at the same time, they represent how far we've come. You know, I think what was her name? How Computer Smell said that. And it's so true, man, because like it depends on the lens you look through. You could look at it and be like, oh, you're keeping that up because you're celebrating racism or whatever it is. But the reality is it's a reminder of how far we've come. Like, dang, and it's history. Like, you erase history, and that's dangerous.
They're trying to make it like Christopher Columbus, like they're trying to demonize him. And
right,
dude, can you imagine what he did, sailing across the ocean at a time where it was the danger is like unheard of, unbelievable, the amount of danger that was.
Exactly.
Go all the way over there, discover this foreign land. I don't know, not discover because the Native Americans here, but just falling into it, like
that's the problem, man. People are so spoiled these days. They don't know how good they have it here, and to imagine how this all came to be and how awesome it is, because you're born into it, and it's like it's an entitled mentality, I think. And you know, of course, some people have it better than others, and some people are like that little Yummy kid. You know, he wasn't very blessed. He grew up, was born into, you know, crack house mom with a prostitute, and you know, that sucks. And we all get dealt different cards, and so of course, those types of situations are like equality is impossible, as far as like, you know, people's choices are people's choices, and his mother chose to do all that, and maybe she didn't chose to have a child, but maybe she probably had sex and then had a baby, you know. It's like, but still was a choice that one thing led to another.
Yeah, she opened her legs.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I think the issue with these statues is, I follow a brother. I'm not going to mention his name here, but you know, these statues. This is not about them getting revenge for slavery or for racism. You know, those statues represent white people. They represent whiteness, Europeans, the Western culture.
But they also took down and knocked down some statues that was about like black people that revolutionized. I forget.
No, but they graffitied it, but they didn't do it. They didn't know what it was because
exactly.
It was just the words of like the 54th Regiment.
They don't do they even know their history to know what they're doing.
Right. Well, but that's what shows you. This is blind anger.
Exactly.
And they're being directed at white culture. It is about whiteness. You start looking at all these tweets people are saying. They say you gotta eliminate whiteness, kill all the white people, kill whitey. And you look through all our pop culture, you see that undertone in all the movies. And you got to start asking yourselves, you know, who's producing this stuff? Who's financing this line of thought and is still pushing it? You know, it's not all. But there are some interesting demographics behind this.
There are white people that refuse to call themselves white.
Right.
Little bastard. That gnat's back. Why every time we stream we get this little gnat flying in here?
That gnat though. So what are you gonna do? Are you how long are you gonna stay in Chicago? Have you already started looking outside? Seeing where you might settle down somewhere else?
No, not yet. I'm just seeing how this stuff is playing out as of right now. Just paying close attention. But regarding the statues, though, it's like, what does Christopher Columbus have to do with police brutality?
Nothing at all.
It's pretty much just
it's
the
not
demonization of whites, the anti-white hatred.
It's not about
like you were saying.
Police brutality. It's just about hate for white people.
Yeah.
They've been taught, and it's you know, like, I don't believe that it's inherent. I believe it was taught and played up. A lot of these people, you know, on every side of the color spectrum are just low IQ. These Antifa types, the angry blacks out there, they're not exactly high IQ, because when you're emotional, you don't have a high IQ. I don't care who you are. Even a professor can have big words and many degrees, but if you operate from emotion, you really have a low IQ because you're so easily controlled and manipulated.
Absolutely. And there's another point regarding the statues. They don't know their low IQ is they vandalized. Did you hear about them vandalizing the Polish hero Thaddeus Kinshuko?
No, but I heard they vandalized a monument that was made for a black regiment in the Civil War, and they tagged all over it.
Yeah, it was similar to that. It was a Polish hero, war American, who fought for the slaves. He left his inheritance to the slaves, and they vandalized his. They thought he was like some Confederate soldier or something. I don't know. But this goes back to your point of their low IQ. They don't know shit. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. They don't know their history. They just see, I don't know what they see. But it even goes back to your point. They vandalized even a black memorial for black soldiers.
Yep.
These people are just so dumb, and they're just angry, destroying whatever they want.
Yeah, and this is why it's important, and my rallying cry for any of the white friends and all my friends really is the takeaway message for white people is they need to get their backbone. They need to drop all the fear. You know, who cares? Whatever they're gonna call you every name in the book. You've been called every name in the book. Who cares about the racist label? Start calling it out. Speak up. Be honest. Just lose the anger because you're not gonna be you can't fight very well when you're angry.
It reminds me of like growing up, right? My dad he worked like sometimes 16-hour days, and every single day he worked hard. And my mom would always complain about how he was never home. He didn't spend time with the family. Even one point she said he's just a paycheck. Like it was all so unappreciated about what we had growing up, you know? Like it just makes me think of that. Like it's such a I don't know, I think of that with America and stuff like that. Because anybody who's an American is gonna suffer. Not just white people. You know? I mean America it's like black Americans really need to stand by the white people and all Americans, and we need to worry about is the illegals that are coming in here and all the time and taking over because they're coming over into the black communities.
Yeah, they ruined their
they're taking
first.
their jobs, and so Americans need to stick together. You know.
Yeah, they got us all fighting each other. They're trying to make black people support illegal immigration.
Based off their skin color.
Yeah, just because you guys are closer in shades.
They're like, we're brown.
It's like, no, they're destroying every economy. Illegal is illegal, and it's not right for any country to let people cross their borders without proper paperwork and the proper due process. And if they're illegal, get the hell out because that depresses the economy. The whole idea that they make our economy work and that we wouldn't have food if it wasn't for illegal immigrants is a total lie because before 1965 in the Immigration Act, it was 95% white, and the middle America was almost all white. People from Germany, all kinds of parts of Europe, and they did all the farming. They did all the picking of the fruit. So it's not that we need illegal immigration. They truly depressed wages. And it's bad for them too, because now they live outside the system in fear that they're going to get caught and kicked out. They can't be a part of the system in the right way. It's no good for anybody. It's the wrong way to live.
Absolutely, guys. We're in a total nut job. We're in clown world, but you know what's crazy is, as far as like some escapes I like to do. Like I like to watch the UFC. I like to watch NBA basketball. It's like I've got to the point where I don't even want to watch NBA basketball because I know like 90% of the people, 95% of them, totally don't have my values. Totally go along with the communist agenda. So
almost
like,
all these big brands and places are too. I think the NFL even apologized and said, "Oh, we take a kneel now." They're gonna, a lot of Americans watch football. I don't think they're gonna be getting as many views.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It sucks, man. Can't we just have one thing that's not some social justice?
Exactly.
The agenda-driven thing. It's like
you
take
can't.
our mind off things.
Business and personal is all intertwined. Like you watch football because you like watching football. I go on Uber Eats because I like to order food, or Amazon Prime. It's all in your face, and they're pushing their opinions and the divided. That's how you know that it's a psyop because all these people are involved in it, trying to just rail it in your heads. So you submit to thinking a certain way. It's crazy.
It comes back to the global banking system, the banking cartels. When they got that much power and money, they're able to manipulate any way they want. Every major corporation they control, and it sucks. But
yeah, central banking.
I'll leave you guys to it. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling in, man. It's always good to hear from you, Kev.
Appreciate it, bro. Be good out there in Chicago, man.
Yeah, find a way out of the city, bro. Get somewhere where you're surrounded by people who share your values and will defend what's right.
That's what I want to do, man. I've been here long enough. And I also don't want to be in a city where everybody knows about LA and people that are going to cause terror or whatever, they know that they're going to get, screen time on the news and stuff if something big happens in LA, so I know we're a target.
Yep.
I agree, 100%, guys. All right, guys, take it easy.
God bless, man. Great call from Kayvon. Kayvon from Chi-Town. We got, let's see, Queen Butterfly is in the chat.
Queen Butterfly, Queen Butterfly.
That was for you, honey.
Queen Butterfly, fly, Queen Butterfly, won't you fly, Queen Butterfly. I didn't know butterflies had queens. I thought that it was only bees.
Butterfly in the sky. William says they are rewriting history in real time. Yeah, man. Anti-white agenda isn't kosher. It's funny because we're supposedly in a white supremacist country with a white power culture. Yet everywhere I look and everywhere I see, white people are demonized by the media, by major corporations, by celebrities, by their own politicians. And if they even dare speak up in defense of themselves and call out the power that resides with other ethnic groups, they get destroyed, they get doxxed. Everyone just tries to ruin their reputation. And there was a soccer player recently, I just saw telling Trevor about this, a place for the LA Galaxy. I didn't see the wife's tweets, but apparently his wife tweeted against the riots and the protests. Probably something that I would agree with, I'm guessing, because they're out of control. But whatever she tweeted, the media jumped on it and immediately called her racist and hateful. And then they made the husband take a knee, and he apologized and basically disowned his wife and apologized for her, and took a knee for that. And then they ended up firing him anyways. That's why you never apologize for anything. They want to shame you into slavery. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Yeah, because, a lot of people who, people here that's alive right now never went through slavery. And they're kind of taking on the spirit like they did. And that they want payback, People are trying to make you white people pay. And it's not right. Revenge is never a good thing, especially revenge on people that had nothing to do with it.
And it's so selective because, again, you can find plenty of instances where we could be justified. We were sold as, well, not we, but white people were sold as slaves for hundreds of years, in higher numbers. They were not just always this aggressor, but they want you to believe that.
I think it's Mike.
Is this Mike?
Yeah, it is.
What's up, buddy?
Is this the guy who called in?
Is this the one who called in sounding just like a woman?
Sounds just like a woman.
How'd you know it was me?
I can hear your voice now. I heard that mama spirit.
You just got that stripper smell.
That's not very nice, bro.
Actually, stripper smells are pretty
Not
nice.
very
Dude,
nice.
Strippers smell amazing.
Okay.
How you been, man?
Well, I mean, doing just fine. Just over here. Just over here living through another day, but I heard you guys talking about flat Earth stuff, so I wanted to call and talk to you about that.
Yes, sir.
He's the expert.
What's your question?
You said you have a problem with gravity, right? And you think that it's pressure and density holding us down to the Earth? Like it's air pressure holding us down?
No, I didn't say air pressure holding us down. I said that density makes more sense in trying to explain, why, how it works. Like why, a bowling ball will fall faster. I mean, it just does. Gravity is a theory that I don't believe is proven, let alone makes sense when you start digging into how complicated it gets just to try to explain why an ocean sits on the floor, but a bird can overcome the forces of gravity.
So what do you think causes us to,
Electromagnetics.
go down?
I think it's an electronic universe, and there's more about electromagnetism that makes sense. I don't have everything here, but I know it isn't what they said. It isn't what they said it is. Everything has been turned upside down. Just like the slavery issue is not what they taught us.
I'm not a flat Earth guy or anything, or I don't. I'll say I just don't know. But one thing that makes me wonder, it doesn't make sense that on Earth, right? If you take a tennis ball and you get it wet and you spin it around, it repels. So if the Earth is spinning around, how come it pulls in? And I know they say gravity or whatever, but I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, if you get a tennis ball wet and you spin it so slowly that it only rotates once every 24 hours, will the water fly off?
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense because the Earth is not spinning slow; it's spinning fast. And are you saying that time?
No, it's spinning one time every 24 hours. It goes around in a circle.
Right, and it spins apparently so perfect that we never see the other side of the moon.
But it spins
ever,
one time because
all.
of the size of it, because it's so huge. Are you saying that time changes based on
we're currently
size?
spinning at like 1,000 miles an hour right now.
Exactly.
So why does if that's true, how come I can't take a helicopter, go up in the air, wait about an hour, and let the Earth spin below me?
Because when you go up, you're moving relative to the Earth already. When you start flying up, you're actually already going with the Earth.
Well, why is that? If I'm in the middle of air and nothing's moving on me, there's no force on me.
It'd be the atmosphere.
Because right now, if you're moving, because we're all moving, essentially we're moving east, right? Because that's the direction the Earth spins east. That's why the sun sets in the west. So we're all moving east.
Just like if you jump out of
this is what makes you'd say like we're in an atmosphere, right? And then once you go out of the atmosphere, then you're in space, right?
Yeah.
So when you're in a car driving on the freeway, aren't you in a different atmosphere? Like you're going really fast, but a fly could be flying in the car with you at 60 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you open up the door and jump out, the car goes and you stay, right?
So why don't you stay? If I go up in the air, why don't I just eventually stay? I stay still.
How come it's like we're like bye Earth and you're just like it's just stagnant? Why wouldn't it just be gone? Because the Earth is not also moving as it spins.
The car doesn't go without you. You slow down because as soon as you leave the car, you encounter all the other elements like the ground, and you encounter the air that's sitting still outside of the car, and all of that slows you down. That's why you start going slower.
It still doesn't make sense why if you stay up long enough, you should just be able to let the Earth spin below you, and there's nothing acting on you. So now that
but there's momentum. You already have the momentum that you had when you left the ground. You already have momentum going east.
But it would dissipate, just like it would dissipate if I jumped out of a car.
Why would it dissipate?
Why would it not? Why would it just maintain? Why would it end? Why would it stay perpetual?
Because there's no force acting against you to cause it to dissipate.
There is. There's a force of the propellers.
All of the air around you is also going that speed.
There's a force of the helicopter itself. You're staying in one place. You're acting against it. You tilt a little bit away from the Earth. You go the opposite. And why doesn't it just spin 1,000 miles an hour? It won't, because it's not what they said it is.
No, it is because you're also going 1,000 miles an hour.
What if?
Right with it.
That doesn't make any sense.
So are you saying that you're going 1,000 miles an hour, but you wouldn't know it because you're in a place with no atmosphere, basically?
No, you don't know it because all the atmosphere around you and everything around you, every single thing around you is held in place by the same force, and that force is all going with the Earth in harmony around. So it's like if a waitress, you know how she can balance like a whole bunch of glasses on a tray,
Yeah.
and they all stay on the tray.
Depending on
Even though the tray is moving a whole bunch, and the tray is swinging around, and she's taking steps, but she's holding it, and they're all moving exactly the same way together and staying on the tray. It's because they're moving in harmony with each other, and she's balancing it. So
right, because they're all.
nature and the earth, everything is in balance.
But they're all touching each
You don't
other.
feel it.
Once you leave, though, and you leave the atmosphere of the Earth, you're no longer attached to the
Exactly.
waitress.
And based on what we know now, if you go high enough into the atmosphere, that's where you get to zero gravity, and they do those little floating experiments. So you can just sit up
Okay,
there,
but
and
when
if you
you're-
still
you're
sit
right
up
about
there,
that,
you would
but
still not, you would
you're
still
right
get
about that.
dragged with the Earth. So it makes no sense. You should be able to stay up there in zero G and let the
You
Earth
keep on
pass
saying
by.
it makes no sense, but it does make sense. You just don't get it.
No, it doesn't make
So
sense.
to say
man.
that it doesn't make sense, you have to prove that it makes no sense.
What? Well, but you
But
haven't
what
even
I'm saying-
proven. You can't prove around Earth. You just take what you've been taught in school.
I don't just take what I've been taught in school. I'm almost 40 years old, and I've been looking at the evidence
Well,
and the way it appears to me
Age doesn't mean
for
anything.
all of that time.
We all just
And
woke
then
up
it
from.
looks good.
We all were angry for most of our lives, so we all just woke up. Doesn't mean anything special. It's the same narrative that you're taught with all the movies and everything that you see around you. It's all reinforcing this idea. It makes. I mean, the whole idea of the Big Bang is that we got order out of chaos. Yet it makes no sense with entropy.
Let's come back. Try to come back to the actual thing we were talking about, because we were still on a good one. So if we just start saying it makes no sense, now we can't talk. But we were talking about the idea of, if you leave the atmosphere, would you just stop moving, and then the Earth would spin under you 1,000 miles an hour, and then when you come back down, you'd be in a different place.
Exactly.
Here's what I want to know. That's because I'm open to understanding, because I just don't know. Maybe I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But
I want to
If-
answer it, but
if the Earth is spinning and it's on an axis, right? So it's spinning and it's moving around, circling around, right?
right, it's spinning and it has a wobble to the axis that it spins on. Correct.
Because it's all
And
going
it's
around the
traveling
sun.
around.
Is that what it is, or it's going around?
It's spinning.
An axis.
It's spinning on an axis and going around the sun.
Right.
And it's
And
it
the
just happens to be
axis
so
itself wobbles.
perfect.
But
Very,
I
very
had
slowly.
I had a
Like,
thought
it goes
about it.
around like once every 25,000 years. It's super slow wobble.
So the Earth, obviously, there's a force that's causing it to do that, right? To move around the axis and to spin,
Yeah.
right? So as soon as you leave the Earth's atmosphere, you don't have that same exact force driving you to do that, because you're not anything.
Wait a
to
minute.
do.
Let's stick with that one thing you're just saying right there and examine it. That's the key.
What's the
You're
key?
saying as soon as you leave the atmosphere, you don't have the force animore.
Yeah, there's no the Earth
Right.
itself has its own force propelling it to spin, or whatever. I don't know if it's the Earth or if it's something else outward making it do it, but it's going around and it's spinning. There's nothing making me go around and spin. So when I
Right.
leave the Earth, how come I am still connected to that force?
If you jump out of a car, Michael.
Oh, I just want to ask. Let me hear what you said.
Wait. Before we do the next car thing, when you left the Earth, you left with force,
Right.
and the force included the speed at which you were traveling along with the Earth.
Right.
So
But I
you were
left.
equal. You were matching 1,000 miles an hour speed, and then you added speed to get you up to space. But when you left the atmosphere, you didn't lose all that force. You still have it.
Right, but I didn't. I lost a lot of force because as soon as I leave, I'm not going to have anything propelling me to move. So why wouldn't there be a drastic change? Just like if you jumped out the car.
If you jump out the car,
I would go fast, but I would still.
Wait.
Hold on.
You
Before,
said you
hold on. Because,
Where did it go?
to clarify that, because that's what I'm trying to get at is, before you hit the ground, when you jump out of a car, you are already losing speed. You don't need another force to act on it. You will lose speed.
Why are
if you
why
jump
are
off
you
a
losing
bridge.
speed? Why?
Mike, jump
Why
out
are
of
you
a
losing
jump out of a car going 60 miles an hour and do it over a bridge. When you jump out of
You
that
lose-
bridge, you're not going to go forward
What?
with the same speed.
I
You'll
know
eventually lose
that.
This is so funny. You
Hey,
lose.
but I'm asking
You lose.
if you
I
know
think
why
that
that
you would lose speed because there's nothing propelling me. I would be going
I'm
the
not
speed.
asking you if you do lose speed. I know you lose speed. Why? I know the answer why. Do you know why?
I know why.
Well, I know that you would lose speed because there's nothing driving me to keep moving.
No, that's not why.
What would be gravity?
No, that's also not why.
So why?
It's very simple, actually. The
I'm
reason
talking about
why,
before you
Well,
hit
then
the
what is
ground.
it?
Before
What
you
is
hit the
it?
ground.
it's because of the air.
Right, but
When
you
you
said you keep
now-
all momentum.
Hey,
You said you keep everything.
wait.
You don't have to wait. Just say it.
I mean, I can't hear you. If I'm talking through the phone, I can't hear you at the same time.
All right, Mama, come on, spit it out.
When you stick your hand out the window of the car, you know that force that pushes your hand back? That's
Right.
the air.
But I think that's what
when you
he's
jump
talking
out of
about.
that car,
That's
that
what he was
force
saying
pulls
about
you
gravity and density, because the
Stop-
air has
stop-
density.
Done talking. Yeah,
Mike,
I
Mike,
hear you. I just hear sentences. I
relax.
can't hear what you're saying.
Well, no, I like because when you make a point, I want to respond. Like when you
I know,
stick
but
your hand
don't
out,
finish saying it before you start talking, or else I can't hear what you're saying.
when you stick your hand out of the window, it's the air. I agree with that. But isn't the air dense? There's density in the air, right? And that's what's going to stop you. Just like if you're in water, it slows down because the air is dense, right?
Exactly.
So I think that was what he was saying. Gravity was density. But are you saying that there are two separate things? There's density in the air and gravity.
Well, density is what causes gravity. Density and gravity are the same thing.
I think that.
they're not the same thing.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay? Mass is literally a description of density of matter. That's what mass is. Mass is the accumulation of matter into a dense
That mass though.
space.
Yeah, but you know,
So it's the of the
it's
mass.
called a theory
the
of gravity
big
for a reason.
But
It still doesn't explain.
Well,
How
gravity
do you
is-
explain? How do you explain entire
the theory
oceans?
isn't
How do you explain
gravity,
entire
the
oceans?
theory of gravity
How do you
is-
explain
is
entire
the
oceans being held down and a bird, a small little bird, overcoming the force of gravity, but these oceans just don't rise up into the air?
Well, because the oceans have so much more mass than the bird.
But
And
no,
also
because
they don't have wings.
no, it's not the
ocean
mass.
had giant wings.
It's not the
That's
mass.
why.
They're saying that gravity is holding it down. That's the whole theory, that gravity holds us all down and keeps us on the earth. So how the hell does the ocean
of course,
stay
it
there
holds
and doesn't
us
rise
up.
up?
It holds it down to the ground
Wait, what?
until the bird only overcomes the force of gravity because it developed the technology called wings, and it uses aerodynamics and the force of flapping the wings to
Yeah, the
overcome
wind-
the Earth's gravity.
But that little bird is stronger than an. It's all about gravity is saying it's pushing down on us. It's pushing us towards the center of the earth. So how can the ocean stay still? It doesn't make sense, Michael. It just doesn't make sense, man.
Water rises into the air automatically, and then it comes down as rain. So how's it doing that? It's overcoming gravity. It's just like a natural thing. It's not that hard to explain. The
No.
ocean floats in the air. It's called clouds.
There's no such thing as gravity. Einstein is nuts.
So there would be gravity and density, and they coincide together. Because there's density in the air, and then there's gravity pulling or pushing down, right? And birds would be able to fly because they're able to, grab on the density of the air and go up, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's because of the density of the air that they can flap their wings in the
Because
air
I thought
and
you
propel
said
themselves.
that density and gravity were the same thing. So I'm just trying to make it make sense to me. If they have to be two separate forces together, or I don't know if it's.
But you don't. No, density isn't a force.
Yeah, right. I know it's not a
Density.
force. I'm just trying to explain two, whatever you
Gravity
call
is
that.
a force.
Have they ever measured the curvature of the earth? Have they ever proven it has curvature?
Yeah.
Where? Because that's something that no one in my science classes, not a single professor, can prove that they've measured curvature. In fact, they can measure how flat it is over a very long distance.
Okay. I mean, I guess we could just look it up together.
Well,
But
this is
a ship.
message
whether or
me.
not there's
Message me
gravity,
if you find
we
it.
can put the curvature-
Send me a
curvature of the
DM.
Earth.
Send me a DM if you find it. But you got the salt flats. You got all these parts of the earth that are flat for miles, and then the argument where people say, "Oh, to the naked eye, I can see that ship looks like it goes over a curve." Pull out a powerful camera, and you can see that ship is still there, just further and further away into the perspective line. So there's no going over a curve.
Are you saying shit?
Ship with a P.
Ship?
Adam's ship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The
'cause
ship
people
is
like
still
to use,
there.
people like to use the example of a ship going over the horizon line. To the naked eye, it appears that it goes over a curve.
Yeah,
If you pull out a camera,
I've seen all the
it's still
videos.
there.
I've seen all the videos. I went down the flat Earth rabbit hole, and here's what I found. At the bottom of every single one of them is faulty math. Like if you look at the curve math that they use, every single time I've seen in all the flat Earth videos, they're like, here's the formula for calculating curvature. And then I look at the formula that they show, and I'm like, that's the wrong formula. And then secondly, so what they're actually doing is calculating a parabola. They're not. It's a curvature on a graph. It's not actually a curvature of a sphere. It's a different So they're like, according to this formula, that thing should be like 50 miles below where it is.
Well, I don't know what math they're
Because they're
using,
using
and
the
I don't need, I can go by the math. It's just pure observation. We're not moving. You can't measure that we're spinning around. You can't measure any curve. It's been proven.
Okay,
And it's the
well,
same
let
people.
me ask you a question.
Yeah, shoot for it.
You say we're not moving, but obviously those twinkly little bits of light in the sky are moving. What's that?
The dome overhead. You ever seen those still shots where they put a still camera for a time lapse? It doesn't spin around showing any kind of globe. It turns on itself like a top, and it makes horizontal lines. It's just spinning and spinning like a top. That's it. There's no, those stars. Everything is just, it doesn't add up. The moon, we never see the other side of the moon because apparently it's so perfect. It just always stays facing us on one side. The sun is just far enough away.
That it's just that the moon goes around the Earth at the same speed that it rotates.
No, we never see the dark side of the moon. Never, at all, ever.
I know,
Pink Floyd did.
I just explained why.
Why?
Because it goes around the Earth every 28 and a half days, and it also spins around it. It also does a spin every 28 and a half days. So that makes it always face in toward the Earth.
That's what they've taught you, but you can't prove that.
But it's a totally logical explanation.
No, it's not. It's just a phrase, but you don't see any of. There's no motion. There's no turn. Not even the slightest do you see it. It's just.
Here's my question.
Because it's in harmony. It's in harmony.
It is. I get that it makes sense, but how would they even figure that out? How would they?
Well, it actually took thousands of years, but eventually they did.
It makes no sense how they would know.
But how would they, if thousands of years...
They developed really complex systems. They were able to navigate the seas based on the stars. They developed calendars where they could predict where stars were going to be within super accurate. Like, they were studying it for a long time, and then...
Okay, what about the moon landings? That phone call that the president made to the moon. Do you believe that happened?
I'm not going to defend the Hollywood moon landing, okay? I know Hollywood lies to us a lot, and that whole video we saw could have been complete BS, and the production and the time.
Is it real or is it not?
The Cold War and all that stuff. I don't know about the moon.
Did we go to the moon?
I don't know. I don't know about the moon landing.
Did you see recently, I think today, there was something because they just did a
I
launch.
called to talk about gravity and flat Earth.
Oh, it's all right, but we have questions.
They did I just saw it today. It was a video of, as from space, they did a launch or something, and it shows that what people thought it was a mouse running across the spaceship in space. As they were filming, if you zoom in, it looks like a little mouse that ran across there. And then, but some people were saying that it was ice that was melting off and then it drifted away. But I couldn't tell. Did you hear about that?
I haven't heard about that specific one, but I've seen a lot of fishy videos.
It just came out, I think, recently.
Fishy, like maybe somebody edited it to make it look fishy, and
no,
then a
it's
lot
the
of
same.
them look like
It's the actual video. It's the actual
what?
video from NASA or whatever. They streamed it, so it's on. It's their video.
Yeah.
They didn't edit it, but you could find it. I don't know. Someone sent me a link, but it
No,
does.
but the thing is, a lot of times it's a review where someone's like, "Look at this video streamed from NASA," and I'm like, "Well, how do I know you didn't mess with the video?"
Right.
I don't know.
But this one is NASA's video on YouTube. It's NASA's video.
Yeah, I get it. But so, I mean, the thing is, look, there are a lot of real conspiracies. There are a lot of real secret things going on. There are a lot of real lies being told to keep us in the dark and to keep us kind of like cattle on the master's plantation, and to keep us all in anger and divided and just in a low vibe. There's a lot of that going on, and that's very real. And then there's some other stuff that I think, I almost wonder, are they trying to make us more crazy by giving us fake conspiracies to freak out about? Are they
That's a conspiracy about
it?
conspiracies. No.
Yeah, exactly. But the flat Earth one, I can't tell if it's fabricated by people who want to confuse us, or it's just a phenomenon of people being like extra paranoid, or is it some people who are just liars, or are they just retarded? Like, I don't know what the deal is.
So do you think,
but
knowing that we live in a fallen world and most people are fallen, and you're well aware of like Trump and all these other issues that we've talked about in the past, politics and deep states and such and so forth and so on. Why do you feel that they would be completely 100% honest about the shape of the Earth and all that science, but lie to you about everything else? Why would they be honest about that?
That's a weird question, bro. Like, why would they be honest about it and lie about everything?
Because you're taking their word for it.
I don't think they're lying about. Hold on. I don't assume that just because they lied about some things, and they definitely did, and had a lot of things. I don't think that means that everything they've ever told me is all lies. So some things are lies.
Yeah, the greatest liars tell a lot of truth, and then they have that percentage of a lie, so you believe that lie easier.
That's right. So, like I said, it might be that the Earth is round, space is real, the stars are out there, all la 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 la. But we didn't actually go to the moon. Maybe it's something like that. But I think just because the moon landing video was a hoax, or there's some fishy things about the footage, or maybe I don't believe that they actually brought a friggin' moon buggy up there and played golf and stuff. Like, I don't know if they really did all that. But that doesn't mean that the Earth is also flat and we live under a dome, because you don't have evidence of the dome. You haven't proven that. What you do have is you have
of the globe.
You have a couple dozen sketchy YouTube videos.
You don't have evidence of the globe. If anything, we have evidence that they continually lie about what they can and can't do, and they've never been to space. By their own data, we can't go past the Van Allen radiation belt. So they've never been outside. There's no proof we've ever gone outside. And the only thing that is obvious is that they've lied about everything they've done.
We don't know. Like, we don't know if that's actually really a big deal or not. People make a big deal about that. But
NASA's admitted
I would guess,
on tape.
Like, I barely understand what the Van Allen radiation belt is really about. I barely really even have a concept of it, if I'm being honest. And I wonder if you really have a concept of it either.
NASA's admitted that they can't go past it.
How do you even know that the radiation belt exists? If you think we live in a dome, why would there be a radiation belt?
They're the ones who have said it. They said they can't go past it. We don't have the technology anymore. Their little rinky-dink ship is what goes through. Our airplanes are so much more reinforced. But this little rinky-dink tinfoil thing was able to go to the moon, come back, take a phone call up there, play golf with a buggy. Somehow there's a camera left there, and they got footage of them flying off the moon. It's all nonsense.
Oh, look, don't make me defend the moon. I already said I don't know about the moon landing.
What do you think about?
Really, I don't think that's linked to flat Earth and gravity.
What do you think about
the moon landing in NASA? Is a whole other thing.
It goes to the character of it.
What do you think about Elon Musk flying in space with the car?
I don't think it goes with the character of them either. You can't really make that argument just because the NASA's liars and the government's liars. That doesn't mean that the Earth is also flat.
If you're a liar, you're a liar. They're liars.
But if you're a liar, that doesn't mean that everything you say is not true.
But you certainly shouldn't believe them. You're very sure that they're not lying about that, with no proof except just their intellectual explanations. It's all very intellectual.
It wasn't invented by astronauts or by John F. Kennedy. And like we knew the Earth was a globe way before them.
No, in fact, all ancient cultures overwhelmingly agreed it was flat.
We don't know what ancient cultures thought. First
so
of
wait,
all,
you just said that we knew for thousands of years that it was round.
We knew about it when Columbus sailed across the ocean.
No, we didn't know about it. The majority of the world always thought it was flat. We have plenty of evidence other cultures thought it was flat.
What I'm saying is, if Columbus knew about it, then NASA didn't invent it as a lie to propagandize us.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know.
I know. So I mean, hey, amazing. So what was the next thing that you were going to say, though?
Trevor had a question about
I was just asking what your thoughts were about Elon Musk going up there with his convertible, taking pictures, doing photo shoots. Do you think that was real?
It looked real to me.
To me, it looked like it was
awesome.
too arrogant. Like, it just didn't seem like. At the end of the day, I just, out of all this stuff, I'm like, I don't know, because I can't prove it. But it's interesting to hear what people think about it. But I don't know.
I have one more interesting question that I know for a fact something's going on. And how do we explain this?
Okay.
You know how people have a satellite dish on their house?
Yeah.
It's a little dish that points towards the west. And the technician comes out, he puts it on the house, and he uses this little caliper to dial it in and connect with the satellite signal. And the signal comes from space.
Well, they say it does.
Right?
They say it does.
So it comes from somewhere in the sky, right? I mean, they're all pointing in the sky, and when you point it in the right direction in the sky, it starts working, and you actually do get TV in your house. So something's happening.
Right. Could also
So
come
where
from
is that
antennas.
thing coming from in your frame of like the dome and stuff?
There's large antennas. You can see there's plenty of
Well, I know with
video footage of large antennas.
with the radio, you know, you could be
But
anywhere.
it's pointing up in the sky.
You receive a signal with the radio anywhere.
It's
Why-
not pointing in the sky. It's just pointing up.
You're-
Okay, well, I live in the West Coast, and my satellite dish points west, so it's pointing out somewhere over the ocean. What's it pointing at?
Antennas. I don't know, Mike. I can't see your satellite dish.
I know. So my point is, if you're going to say the Earth, that space isn't real and satellites aren't real, and we don't live on a globe, and you're absolutely sure about all that, and it's all lies, and you are talking very confidently, like it's all just lies.
Yes.
Well, you need to also then explain like the actual technology that we're using with based on satellites and also GPS. Like my phone always knows where I am because it's positioning. So they tell all these liars tell me that positioning between 3 satellites. And
Well,
that's
here,
how
answer
military
this.
does it globally.
I got a question about
Like, how do
that.
they do that?
If
There's
it is,
just towers everywhere on the
if-
planet.
okay,
or
Mike,
are there
hold on.
actual
Mike,
Hey.
hold on.
if what you're saying is you know, I'm following you. The satellites are pointing up, right? How come I lose service when I'm in a plane up super high where I'd have better service, or on a mountain?
Because you don't have a satellite phone, you have a cellular phone.
So you think that I'd have the
Cellular
best
phone,
satellite service
cell
on
tower.
an airplane?
Cellular phones run off of cellular towers, which are antenna towers, like you see from time to time. They're disguised to trees and stuff. That's what your phone connects to. That's connecting locally to a microwave signal that comes off of those towers.
So you're saying we'd have the
Satellite
best?
is
We'd
a
have
dish
the.
receiving a satellite in space. It's completely
We would
different.
have. So you're saying we would have the best satellite TV experience on a plane?
Some planes actually do have satellite connections. They have dishes on the plane, and they point and they rotate and they track the satellite in space to maintain connection with it while they fly.
Huh.
But I'm not saying it would be best in a high atmosphere, because honestly, that's not that much closer to where the satellites are. It's actually not really that much. It's like a little bit closer, maybe like 5 or 10%, but not that much. And also the speed of light signal that comes from bouncing off of that satellite that's in space down to your satellite dish isn't really affected by being a little bit closer or being higher in the atmosphere or something. It just has to have clear line of sight. That's all that matters. So no, being in a plane wouldn't connect you to a satellite like any better. It's just if you had a bigger dish, that would connect better. But they only give you one that's as big as it needs to be to get the signal, right? So it bounces off the dish and shoots up to the little receiver, the little cone thing out in front of it. So they're bouncing the signal off of this little dish on your house to the thing, and that goes into the cable and to your TV. But that's getting its signal from somewhere, and where I think it's getting from is I think it's what they tell us. I think they really do launch satellites into space. I think they really are floating around in geosynchronous orbit with the Earth. And in fact, with my cell phone, with this telescopic lens I can put on my iPhone, I can look up and see a satellite in space, and I can watch it pulse. It has like a pulsing light signature because it's essentially it's a rotating satellite. It's spinning while it's going around the Earth. It's kind of like whirling right there. So it's kind of like a little blinky light, and I could show it to you if we hang out. Like you can see it from my back porch. But I think that's a satellite. It comes up in the same spot every night. It travels just. I have a satellite tracking app in my phone that shows you where the satellites are, and I can look and see where they are. Like there's things out there that they're telling us they're satellites, and I think they actually are. I don't think they're just making that up. And the stars, I think they are really stars. I think we really are traveling around a star and that's the sun. And I think there's a bunch of other stars, and they're all part of the galaxy. And when I go out to the desert and I see this big trail of stars that goes up in the sky, I think that really is the Milky Way. I think like it all makes sense to me. And the reason why the moon goes through its different phases, and we see it's like full of light, and then sometimes it's a sliver, it's because the moon is in different places in relation to the Earth and the sun. And I'm seeing the shadowy side of the moon. I never see the back of the moon, but sometimes the part that faces the Earth has a shadow on it. And that's because it's over to the side in relation to the Earth and the sun. And then sometimes it's kind of behind the Earth, and sometimes it's in front of the Earth. And so you see it from different aspects. And it all just makes complete sense. Like, it's logical what they're saying. I'm like, oh, that checks out to my perspective.
You mind repeating all that?
Why?
This
Well, this was
Was it too
fun,
much of a
Mike.
mouthful or what?
Thank you for calling in, man. We're gonna for time. We're gonna move on to the next one, but this
Yeah,
is interesting.
At the end of the day, I like taught, like, you know, I don't know if I'm learning anything or what, but I know it's just entertaining, you know, because at the end of the day, I don't know crap.
Right? Yeah, well, hey, I heard you guys going in on Flat Earth and Gravity, so I thought I'd call in and
I
shake
appreciate
up
it, man. It's always fun. I still love you, even if you're wrong.
Cool, yeah, forgive me, right?
I always say
Okay,
that
bye,
if I was God and I was going to create something, it would have curves. So that's the only thing that makes me be like, wow.
Yeah, I'll back the Goldberg on that
and
theory.
balls. Big old balls. Balls.
Well, the testicles are round, a clock is round, my head is round, my nipples are round.
Yeah, a drop of water is round. Everything's round. I don't see a lot of domes. See round things.
You don't get a lot of dome?
Okay.
I used to get a lot of dome.
Oh, take it easy. Keep it PG, guys.
All right, Mikey.
Show.
Thanks for calling in, brother.
Later.
Bye.
Maybe see you on Sunday. Goodbye.
Amazing. Chat was lighting up. So there's some people.
I was wondering what they were saying because I'm like, are they like bored or?
No, we had some people. So William Von Arks, he says we may not know what we may not know what it is, but we certainly know what it isn't. You know, basically the same logic that what they say doesn't add up, and since they lie so much, that at least tells you this is not true. This is not true.
At the end of the day, it's like I don't know. There's no way to prove anything, you know, like.
Monica says that she saw the rings of Saturn or Jupiter, and that it was clearly round when she went camping, and some guy had a high-end telescope. Maybe. I mean, either way, I'm not gonna spend my life. It's not like a crusade I care about. But if you ask me, I'm gonna hold my ground because I have not seen anything to change my mind.
At the end of the day, I like to be open to thinking anything is possible, and that and be skeptical of things, so that I can always think for myself to put two and two together and really fully understand. Because like this kind of stuff, it's like I don't really understand either way. Like, you know, like it gets so complex that I'm like, all right, because you know you have to go there in your brain instead of actually really seeing it and experiencing it. You know, it's like you could talk about what it means to sing, but if you never hear it, you know, you'll never know what it is. You know.
That's kind of my method of when it's a super intellectual explanation, you've already. I mean, I'm already tuned out because, I mean, to me that's just what waking up. That's what I learned. You know, doing the whole forgiveness thing is that the intellect is where lies are, and the more intellectual that answer is, and if it just goes on and on and on with all this talk, to me that just tells me, yeah, you know, that's not the way to go. You know, just I don't know. I observe it to be not moving. Maybe it is round, but it's not moving from what I can observe, and that's my observation. Queen Butterfly said he was gonna have a heart attack.
Who?
Mike.
Oh.
His blood pressure was getting high.
Well, you take speed and you come on the live chat. That's what can happen.
She thinks it's round, you know. And that's cool too. And T Warrior says
T-Warrior.
the sphere is the most energy efficient shape in creation. Possible. I know that the arch is super efficient in terms of strength.
You know, here's another point that I think of, right? On a ball, right? If you put your finger on a ball, what part of the ball is that?
If you put your finger on the ball?
Yeah, on a tennis ball. What part of the ball is that?
Directly over.
Just anywhere.
Yeah.
Where part of it is it?
I guess in the middle.
It's in the middle, right? So no matter where you put your finger on a ball, it's the middle. So that makes me go, oh, that's crazy. Because if the Earth is round, then no matter where I am, I'm in the middle and I'm centered.
T Warrior says do-rags are round.
I'm always centered because no matter where I am, I'm in the center.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's cool to look into it. You know, again, I'm with William. I know what they've lied about, and what's obviously a lie. You know, the moon, they've never had, like, that whole thing was nonsense. Taking a phone call on the moon. Somehow they had a camera that was able to get signal, and you see the little rocket jump off the moon with the guys. Somehow they got that feedback, and they just left that camera there. It's just, that all makes no sense. And like Mike says, he admits that seems fake. So that's all I go by, is that they've continually lied about everything. They lie about everything, so I don't care what they say. NASA is a waste of money to me. Millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Dan, flat around, it's not important. Yeah, nothing's important, really. Nothing is a big deal. Skills Carmite says he's also looked through telescopes and seen Saturn rings and whatnot, but that does not prove the scientific formulas are true. Queen Butterfly says, interesting point, Trevor, on the fingers on the ball. Yeah, it is interesting. But anyways, on to other topics.
It got hot in here real fast.
Yeah,
I'm like,
It's
damn,
warm.
I'm ready for that air conditioner.
but yeah, so again, the number to call in, besides Flat Earth, 818-308-5559.
Here, well, while we're talking about weird stuff, what do you think about aliens? Do you think aliens exist? I'll say that when I was younger, you know, I always heard stories about aliens in my family, like my cousins and stuff. They said that they saw aliens and ghosts and stuff like that. And I used to always really think that aliens did exist because it made so much sense. Like, why would there be, you know, only Earth in such a huge universe? There's got to be life somewhere else and stuff like that. And I always used to think that maybe, you know, aliens, we are a product of aliens, and that we were created from aliens, and that we're just an intelligence farm here gathering intelligence for some alien somewhere. And then now I'm like more like, you know, we've been deceived by the government so much, and this crazy stuff that's going on. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to believe that aliens are you know, something that they created in movies and all that stuff to make us scared, so that if they could fake an alien attack and make us all want to trust the government because there's nothing we can do.
Exactly.
So like, what do we do? Oh, there's aliens, and the government's like, I'll help you. I'll save the day. Just stay in your houses. This is what, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with that. I used to be into space and all that stuff, and aliens and UFOs. They're demons, whether they're interdimensional or whatever. I mean, the fact that we can't see the whole light spectrum, I believe it's more. To me, the Bible has more truth in it than anything else. That there are spirits here. This is a spiritual battle. They're all around us. There's evil and good forces, and we can't see it. And I think that aliens, if anyone ever saw one, was just a demon or the manifestation of a demon, and that they will use all this programming for alien attacks to get us to run to daddy government and say, come to me, children, and then we all run to the government, which is what they want. I don't believe there's aliens. To me, it's just demons. No such thing as aliens, never been to space.
The interesting thing to me, though, that makes me go, huh, is that scientists and technology and everybody, they're so involved in outwardly things, right? And I know within myself, the only way I can understand my outward is to go inward and understand myself, right? The more I know myself and understand myself, the more I can understand other people and everything. You know, I'm not subject to my environment, right? So if you think of that as like Earth is like is a living organism thing, and it's alive, and we're all moving elements to it, right? Everything on the Earth makes it up to be the Earth, right? And so if you think of that, and that we happen to be so smart about everything else. Oh, we'll go to Mars, we'll go to the moon. We know so much about space. But we've never actually been to the center of our Earth, and we've only gone 7 miles down. And we use technology, like, you know what they use, what are those things called? That
Sonar, I believe.
you know, it's for pregnancies and stuff. There's an actual name for it. I just can't think of it.
Sonogram.
Sonogram.
Yeah, but it's using sound waves.
Sound waves, right? So that's the only way they've actually ever been able to see what's in the Earth. They haven't really actually been there and seen it. So I just find it interesting. And the ocean, right? It's so unexplored. But we know so much about everything outward, but we don't even know ourselves.
Right.
It's just, that's weird to me, you know?
They're just the fact that they're such liars. There's this guy, I think his name's Pettit. There's a NASA interview with this guy. He's in one of the models of the old rocket ships or whatever, and he's saying that they've lost all the technology to get to the moon.
I remember that.
That basically, it's like saying that we can't rebuild a Sony Walkman because now we have MP3 players. They're like, oh man, it's just so complicated. We can't go back. We just can't build a Walkman.
And I remember talking with somebody, I forget who, but their argument was that each venture that they do, like whatever project it is, like, oh, it takes this long to build this project to go to the moon, right? That's all part of it, and they lost that. So they would have to create a whole new plan and project to do it again. And so it's not like just this one element of knowing how to do it. But you think it's like music, right? You know, I'm going to back up my drives. I'm going to, like, if that technology is really there, how do you lose that? Wouldn't there be backups? Wouldn't there be, like, some sort of thing?
Yeah, like they just forgot how to build planes. You would just like to say to the airlines, say, hey, you know what? Well, we're going to have to close because we forgot how to build a plane. You know, we just get rid of it. Now we just don't know how to build them anymore. We're going to have to start with the Wright brothers and make things out of wood again. It's just all crazy. These guys lie. There's crazy footage.
Someone, I see orange.
T. Ruxman says, what we call aliens are watchers or the fallen angels. I'm with you on that. Demons are the spirits of the Nephilim, which are the offspring of the watchers and human women. Thank you. It's exactly what I say. It's angels and demons. The planets are called the wandering stars for a reason. Those are the angels that refuse to listen and don't stay in their place, and they don't praise God. They do what they want. They move in their own orbit. While the other stars that are fixed are the angels that stayed.
Here, this is a crazy story, right? And I like to tell the story sometimes. I haven't told it in a while, but this probably more is in the ghost stuff. When I was a kid, right, I used to hear the story about this house that my parents had when my sister was a baby, right? I wasn't born yet. But this house they lived in was their first house. There was all this weird stuff that always happened, they said, where the lights would turn on and off. They had a piano and a cat, right? And the piano would start, would play stuff, like whatever would play, weird things, and the cat would be in the room, so there's nothing there. And one night, my sister's room, she's a baby in her crib, they heard a big bang. And they went in there, rushed in there, and it was a lamp that was across the room, so the cord was stretched. It didn't fall over, it was like it was thrown. And so all this weird stuff was happening. Eventually my dad was like, all right, if you're a ghost, change the channel on the TV. And they said the TV channel changed. So they're like, all right, we got to get out of this house. This is insane. So on moving day, right, they're packing, everything's packed up, ready to go. They got their washer and dryer unplugged and ready to leave, too, because it was theirs. And the washer flooded the whole house, and it was unplugged. So they're like, this is crazy, this house is nuts. And I always heard this story from them. So one Halloween, when I was probably like 9 or 10 or 11, around that age, we were like, let's go trick-or-treating in the neighborhood of the old house and go see if we can see who lives there. So we go there, right, trick-or-treating, and we knock on the door, we're like, trick-or-treat, and they're like, oh, give us candy. We're like, hey, we used to live in this house. And the lady, I was there, the lady stone cold stopped and said, is this house haunted? And we all were like, yeah. Of course, I only heard the stories. So she invited us into the house, and we all shared, or I listened because I wasn't really involved, but they shared ghost stories about the same exact type of stuff that was happening in the house. Isn't that crazy? Like,
yeah.
It's super weird to hear those stories, because when I heard them, I was like, okay, like, I don't know what to believe. But when we went trick-or-treating, and I saw for myself when we knocked on the door, and the lady was like, the first thing she said was, is this house haunted? Because she's obviously wanted to know for a long time what the hell's going on in this house. And when we said that we used to live there, she needed that validation. She invited us right in, man. She said the lights turn off all the time. She says the doors open and close while she's sleeping. She can hear them closing. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, I believe that, like, what's his name? Oh, thank you for the super chat, Lin Chen.
Lin Chen!
Oh, yeah, Jake, the number's there.
What did they say about that story?
They said, I love house stories.
House stories.
And then what else? I wonder what happened to the people that sold that house to. Angels and Demons for sure, says Aro 2220. Star Trek rewrote all those myths. Yeah, it's Angels and Demons, bro. Nothing new under the sun. It's just, to me, all this space nonsense, it comes from the same arrogance of man. And the people who make up NASA and make up the elite of the government are arrogant men, and they don't serve God, and it's just a knowingness. I just know that they're full of it, and they're not telling the truth, and they're not serving God. So why would I trust anything they've ever said?
There's another weird story that me and my sister, we used to go to my grandma's house, and when we go there, we would bring our bikes, right? My parents had a Jeep, and we'd put our bikes in the back and go there, and then we'd ride our bikes. So one night, right, it was getting dark. It wasn't fully dark yet, but there was a little light outside, and we were going to go ride our bikes around. And so we go outside, go to the Jeep, open up the back, and we see it. We thought it was a cat, right, a white cat or whatever in the back. And as soon as we saw it, it came up and it flew out into the sky. And me and my sister looked at each other and ran inside. And I always remember that. It was crazy. My sister remembers it too. So it's not like it just happened to me and I was like, I don't know, maybe I have seen things or whatever. We both saw it. And that's the only thing I can claim for myself that I saw that was super weird. I'm like, what was that? So I don't know. Have you guys ever experienced anything weird like that? I know our buddy Giovanni, he said that he's seen like, lights in the sky that are weird.
Yeah, orbs. I've heard people say they've seen orbs.
And those kind of things. And you hear about those things on like, cameras and stuff in the house, and you don't know if it's dust particles or, I don't know,
I've heard, I know a girl who says she saw God when she was little. Like, I just believe that there's things you can...
She saw me?
I just believe this is a spiritual battle, and I'm 100% behind that now. I don't have any doubts about it, and because of that, there are spiritual forces at work, seen and unseen. And again, like Aro said here, he agreed with the statement about arrogant men, and it's exactly what, it's this biblical battle we're fighting is the arrogance of man, which is men who want to play God. And so why would you believe the story that puts man on a pedestal? That's what, to me, the Big Bang and all that stuff, it just reinforces this idea of man as God, man as the creator, man goes where he wants, and he does everything on his own. God creates. God lets us discover. God lets us go places. So, I don't know. That's just my take. And isn't it weird that every country in the world has all these disagreements about major topics, but they can all agree that we shouldn't be allowed to explore Antarctica?
That's weird. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
That's super weird that exactly. Like all these countries that are, even if they're
sworn
enemies, even if they're enemies, we're like, all right, we agree, we won't go to Antarctica.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Weird, bro. It's getting weird.
And they're like, oh, you can go. You just need to have someone who's going to show you around. You need to have a guide. And there's only certain places you can go. That stuff is weird for sure. And I know
Tucson, Arizona.
Just make sure you filter them. Make sure they're not trolls.
Let's see. The connection sounds really bad. Hello. Who this be? Mark, the connection's really scratchy. Do you want to try and give me a call right back? Okay, call me right back. I'll hold the line for you. No problem.
Is that Mark?
Yeah, but not our Mark, a different Mark. But it was really scratchy.
Could be your iPhone 1.
It could be. Rick's in the chat. What's up, Rick? That's a strong name. Big Rick. T-Warrior says space is real. God created darkness.
He said it!
He created darkness because of the fallen angels' transgressions. They left their first estate, and God destroyed the earth, which we now call home. Rick says, that background music, though. Yeah, Trevor is an ace. What's so bad about Antarctica, besides it being cold? I don't know what's so bad, but I know that they've all agreed that we're not allowed to go explore
Well,
there.
I know I don't know, but I've heard that they have like a carbon copy of every seed and every plant and everything there frozen to keep because it could never melt.
Yeah.
So if humanity was lost, they would have.
There's also that Admiral Byrd, and he had his exploration, and I showed him the old TV show he did. He came on and talked about his explorations. He described Antarctica as having vast amounts of natural resources and lush land, not just all ice, but there was, like trees and
Yeah,
vegetation.
that's interesting. I forgot about that.
So what, is that guy lying? It's just, to me, it's weird. It's very weird. It doesn't add up, I think Antarctica could be an ice wall around the entire flat Earth. Epstein escaped to Antarctica. No, actually, he went to Israel. Jen says she also heard about the seed vault. Check out the Gap fact. I bet Trevor could play some awesome Michael McDonald.
I can't forget we're not in love anymore.
Aro says, it's very weird that the whole world keeps trying to kill each other, but they are 100% okay with never fighting over Antarctica.
I know, exactly.
Exactly. Just
There ain't no coronavirus there.
Yeah, just
Or maybe
questions. Yeah, Antarctica might be the outside ring and where the wall is. That's what I think, man. Like Game of Thrones, it's a flat. Like I don't know how far it goes, and they always say, "Where's the edge? You're gonna fall off." It's like, come on, grow up. Like, we don't know. It could extend endlessly, just
Grow up.
ice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Build the wall.
Yeah. Random 20-year-old here that called in a couple days ago. Oh, Thought Patrol. Yeah. Hey, actually, Trevor wanted to talk to you.
I did. I remember why.
I forget why, but if you're free, call in. 818-308.
The ice wall going up. The ice wall going up.
Well, we got 30 dudes and gals streaming. Grand Rapids. No name. Let's see first. Hello. Who's this? Random 20-year-old. Let me get you on speaker. 1 second, my friend. All right, my friend. You are on. How you doing, random 20-year-old?
Oh, I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Were you the guy who called in before that was talking about you just woke up and you kind of just started
So
realizing
you're
things?
talking about college and stuff like that?
Yes, sir. I actually remembered what you were asking me about too.
What's that?
Well, you guys were kind of talking about dating norms and the distinct differences between men and women on either college campuses or just in general with young kids today.
Didn't we talk about that?
Vaguely. I think we talked about a lot of like general topics, but we didn't really go in depth with that.
Yeah, I remember there was something though when it was like another stream, and I was thinking, and I thought I was about asking you about that, but maybe it did have something to do with that. What was it? It was like
So you were.
oh yeah,
you were
that's right. I
talking
remember.
about-
It was about something about generations of growing up here and what's it seem like. Because it's changed so differently in like society and what's the normal, quote normal. So what is that like?
Yeah,
And I know you have nothing to compare it to, but like just like the morality of today of like what's passed off as normal. And I'm sure however you were raised in your house, is how you were raised in a house a big contrast compared to what you when you grow up in solid world, you're like, whoa, that's totally different than where I was raised,
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, I loved when you said, it's not about necessarily, because the world pushes equality now, right? But it's really about just advancing the progress of the individual and bettering ourselves, men versus women. And backing off of what you said regarding growing up now, I mean, just to touch on the dating norms and how corrupt dating is, there's this huge fear of being traditional. And even though it works, and it's like people aren't even really open to entertaining a further like free way of life. And it's incredible because they're really not like they don't understand it works. But just to like touch on how it is at my campus in particular, dude, it's incredible. It's I talk to girls and like I'll go on dates, but the minute that they discover that I'm coming from a different place than they are, they shut off immediately.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll get like a text back or something being like, I liked you, or I liked I liked going out to dinner, but I just couldn't necessarily get behind the whole not having sex thing.
Right.
And
isn't that crazy, man? That girls these days, like, they need it because they want to have that control, man.
Yeah, they love it. You can tell right away they feed off it, and part of that is probably my responsibility to discern that right away.
Yep.
But it doesn't necessarily mean to me that I shouldn't at least explore and try to adventure that way of life.
Isn't that interesting?
Because I do think it's important.
When I was younger, because I fooled around and stuff, it's like the guy that goes to the girl and all he wants is sex, he's not going to get any, right? Or if he's like. But then you come along and someone like you, like, man, I don't want to have sex, whatever. And she's like, I can't do that. I have to have sex.
Yeah,
it's like you could eat, like I could see that why these like little fake Christian guys in like high school and stuff like that would get. Because I remember like in school there was guys that were like that, and they'd always have a different girl, but they're like, I'm a good Christian boy, but he was really just banging shit.
Because they like to.
They like a challenge.
Yeah, poop. Well, that's the S word, but like I like to poop test you. And when you take that control away by saying, I'm not having sex till marriage,
They want to destroy you.
they want to take that away from you and show that, no, you will do what I want.
Exactly, it's about conquering you.
Yeah, and all women have that. And, like Jesse always jokes about that, in 50 years your wife will wake up and you'll die. What I take it as is that women will always have that spirit in them that even if you lead them out of hell, you must never put your guard down. Never let that spirit touch you, because they will test you one way or another. No matter how long you've been together, no matter how well she's doing, she will get into her feelings and then let the devil in. And if you're not careful, you'll get sucked into that emotional world again.
Yeah, what's so amazing to me personally is that similar to how guys have not overcome sex and they are so willing to, forego their own dignity just to chase that, women on college campuses now are the same way. They're almost competing with men. Obviously they are, but they're competing with men
I was going to
almost
say the same thing. They are.
the same degree.
They are.
Yeah, it's all ego, and they've been their egos have been stroked like hardcore by mainstream media and society, and it's pitted them against men, and that's the problem. That's exactly why Eve got Adam in trouble. And they got kicked out of the garden. Was her
You know what I
ego.
notice is it's a good topic is like strength, right? You know how they're like a lot of women are be like, I'm a strong woman, and I think a lot of people think strength because there's a difference between men and women. There's a big difference.
Absolutely.
And of course, men are more stronger physically more often. I'm sure there's like some bodybuilder girls or some guys are weaker than women or whatever physically. But what do you think a strong woman is? And is there another word that you would use to replace strong that would describe a woman more so than, strong?
Well, yeah, to me, it's just being right. It's this thing of when you do what's right, it just works. And the amount of women out there that are either even willing to listen to being right or actually want to pursue right themselves is so limited. And it's limited with guys as well, of course. But to me, it's just this thing of you have to step back and you really just have to observe. And you mentioned a study previously. I think it was yesterday. It was a psychology study citing how the more sexual partners a woman has, the less likely she is to commit to an actual marital relationship.
Yep.
And that's so true, because it's like they fall into this, and guys too, this isn't just distinct to women, but guys as well, people in general, they fall into this trap of once you have one and that doesn't work out, you're trying to get back something from another, and then that one lasts shorter than the previous one, and then it's just this cycle of it's a black hole of hell, essentially.
Yeah, you know what I think the difference is, like, because women will be like, they want to be strong, right? I think that what they really are is, instead of strong, is just willful.
Yeah.
They have, they're willing to be, pursuing, because a lot of people will think strength is going after, your dreams and your ideas and having ambition and all these things. But it's really because a lot of women are like that, and that's why women are working more than men, and the men aren't working or whatever. It's because they're willful. But to me, strength is different. Strength is being able to relax and have that faith and be able to, because I think of a man leading a woman. It's a man being able to lead her out of her emotion and willfulness, so that she can come into his logic and be able to allow God's will, right? Because if you're willful, you'll never be able to have God's will be done,
Yeah.
Right. And men have such little strength themselves that I think strength gets misinterpreted from the woman's perspective as well, because now they look at strength as pursuing a life of success in vain, and so they try to do the same thing, and then it ends up both parties are doing the wrong thing, and both parties obviously have to do the right thing to succeed.
When the man has the female, when men fall, they take on a female spirit, and it makes them weak, and they act emotional, and they act like children. And when women fall, they take on a masculine spirit and attempt to be a man. And like he says, they become willful. There is no strength. There's no such thing as a strong woman. Just like there's no such thing as a passive woman. They are willful. They just can't help but they They can never be happy with the last word. They can't let it lie. They
Women
just carry on and
women
on.
think that men should be equal in the sense of having a female energy and a male energy, right? But the reality is that men do have a female and feminine energy that they need to overcome so that they can become a man.
Right. They need to get rid of it, not hold
Right,
on
and
to it.
women want them to keep that female, that feminine spirit.
Yeah. And you guys talk about, you were kind of asking me about the passive qualities that exist in this generation versus at least growing up with some sense of traditionalism. Now what exists is this, what is basically a strong urge to just, be your own God.
Right.
And they don't honor any sense of chivalry, and it's not even chivalry, it's just this, it's all ego, I mean, how many people can I have sex with, and it's all ego. There's no love in it, there's no sense of purpose in it in the end, and even the ones that do end up getting married, you just know, because you can see it,
You just know
that it's not going to end up well.
There's a thing, like we had my observation, and we had a caller a few times call in, and she shared how it was spot on for her, is that women, when they play God, they all have these lists in their head, and when they're honest, they'll admit to it, that they keep a list, and they, a list for the perfect guy, a list for the perfect life, a list for what's gonna, be a good marriage, and all that is their ego playing God, thinking they know what's better for them, they know what's right in the first place, and it's the opposite. It's only when they let go of that and kill their ego, because that's their biggest threat, is the ego. Men must get their strength back and let go of that ego as well, but it's different for them. They have to be stronger. Women need to just submit. It's the opposite. They don't need to get stronger because they're not strong. They need to submit and get rid of that list and stop playing God.
Yeah, and you to touch on what you asked me about the differences between growing up in this generation versus previous generations, it's so true how we've like swapped roles. Men absolutely love that easy way of life now, and I find that so disgusting, because I meet so many men, I ask what are your future plans, and they don't have a clue, which is fine if God's guiding you, but they don't have a clue as to like the fact that they need to work.
Because at the end of the day,
college,
it's about a skill set. If you don't have
Right.
a plan, like if you have a skill set and you're able to offer like back in the day, it used to be trade. You would pick a trade and be good at it, and then you were a service to the world. And so I think that there's a lot of people that they're looking for their purpose and they don't know what to do and they don't have a skill set. But I think if you develop a skill set, then you will be able to work. You don't need to plan as much, because things will just start to, one thing leads to another with that skill set,
Right. And what's so true about just the laziness in general is that, and I've been guilty of this too in my, I don't want to say earlier years because it was just last year, but people look at, and this is what college has done, they look at college as sort of this end goal, and it's because they've pinpointed that as their successor in life, and like they've made college their God. But even more than that, because they've made it to college and they're in college, they act as if everything's going to be okay. And for some people, that might turn out okay. They might get a job and they might perform these qualities of life that might help them, but otherwise than that, they're not doing okay. And the women are, ironically, they're doing it at better rates than the men are. And so you can just see how college has just downgraded the natural qualities of man.
Right.
Exactly, because it goes against the skill set. You get in your ego because you intellectually think that you're working in your head.
Yeah. And
you're not actually doing something and discovering to get it to experience in something. Like if you have a skill set and you just start working from a young age, then you eventually get better and better and better at it. With college, it's like you just keep feeding your mind.
And I think there's an implicit bias with the more women that you stack into these positions, and they have ego, which is not of God, then it kind of becomes a feedback loop. Like I know there's several Starbucks where I used to live in the valley here, and it's nothing but women. Like the whole staff is all women, and the sprinkling of guys that are there are very feminine, if not outright LGBT, but they're just weak men.
That's true.
And you start seeing that they hire women, they prefer them. So like in a way, it's almost deceiving because they'll say, oh well, women are just outperforming. Well, are they outperforming, or are they being given preferential treatment to basically reinforce this attack on men?
Right. Well, even if you look at that position in particular, I mean, I don't have a problem from a business standpoint of a business hiring who they need to hire, but it's really where men are going, and I'm sure you guys would agree with that. It's really where men are going that I take an issue with because, for example, I have a friend that is an electrician, and he works like 55 hours a week, and you can just distinctly see the difference, even between me, you can distinctly just see the difference of how capable he is at such a young age. And men have lost that so much, and that's just like one of the biggest qualities that even goes into putting the family back together.
Yep.
Because if you can get a man working to that degree, you've already leaped such a far step in putting the family back together.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all
For
about,
sure.
right?
And that was still one of the things I have to overcome is because I'm a musician and creative, you know, and I had parents that allowed me to make music and stuff, and so I never had to go out and get a job. I always, you know, worked on music and writing songs or whatever like that, and I never went out and like had to do, you know, survive on my own because I was like believed in by either, you know, my parents or a manager or something like that. So I never had to fall on my face completely to be able to be like, oh man, if I don't do this, I'm dead, you know. And not to say I want that because I'm like crap, but I mean I'm on my own now, but I'm able to, you know, be able to make music for a living. But it's like, hey man, if I didn't have that, I'm like, what would I do, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, Jesse talks about that so much, about how much that helped him personally, you know, moving out to LA and going through those hardships. And sometimes I almost have a regretful nature of, like, I didn't go through those, so how am I going to do without going through those? And I think I'll be fine, but what did you guys experience with that? I know, Trevor, you just kind of touched on that.
And you're so young,
but,
man. It's like you're like, I didn't do that. Like you do it now. You're super young, bro.
What was the question?
Yeah.
What was the experience with growing
just
up?
Getting on your feet in general.
Oh, it's the same boat as Trevor. Like I had some hands-on experience. Thankfully, I had some uncles who were pretty masculine, so they had the garage full of tools, and with the time I would spend with them, they would have me do things from a young age. So I had a work ethic, but I didn't have those skill sets that I should have had, like you said. Like, we should be working on cars as a kid. We should be learning how to fix the things that break in our house and do it right then and there. Work on it. Your radio breaks, take it apart. And doing that from a young age, you become industrious and innovative, and you overcome, and everything becomes easy because you're like, well, all I gotta do is just start, and you get faster and faster. So there was a bit of an emasculation process that I had to wake up to and realize that, you know, my parents and, you know, just going with the flow of society, basically kind of cut my nuts off, you know, because I wasn't getting the full masculine experience. And I think it's definitely important that men get that. You know, start your kids with guns and doing, you know, boyish things. Like, boys should be doing boy things, and girls should be learning how to make sandwiches, and so forth and so on.
Well, it's funny you say that, because one of the things Jesse said a few weeks ago was how when people wake up in other countries, they're almost more grateful for it in a sense, versus here a lot of people have had it so easy, and I know myself, I'm so fortunate to have had it. I mean, maybe I'm not fortunate to have had it easy, but I lived a great life so far.
Yeah. Easier isn't always better, you know?
Right, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I've had to face about myself, is that, you know, what I previously thought was such a tremendous step ahead in life actually can become a step backwards in a sense.
It's true, man.
Yeah, that's like someone said in the chat right now, RO2220 said, play fighting is important. Boys need to get hit. They need to learn to take a hit because life is going to give them a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to it. We lost those rituals and those processes that men would have to go through at a young age to become men.
I'm so glad, man, that I had my mom. She put me in like Taekwondo when I was a kid, and I was in it for years, and I got like a black belt. But if I didn't have that, I'd be screwed, man, because like that taught me about respect and a lot of things, like that was the only kind of like thing that I had that was like that. I had BB guns and stuff like that, but I didn't have the real discipline, and having that, like, definitely, I'm thankful I had that, for sure, because I'd be screwed.
Yeah, discipline, and one of the other things that's gone is shame. There's people look at shame now as a thing of the past that is not only outdated, but basically useless. I mean, shame isn't useless in its entirety.
No, we need shame.
And where I go to school, and this is most colleges. I mean, I go to a fairly conservative college, which is scary to me because that means that conservatism is so far down the drain. But where I go to school, the idea of breaking that social norm of being degenerate is so absurd now.
Yep.
And I was like, because I know I'm in LA, and I think that it's a lot worse here. So I don't know what it's like. I've never lived in a conservative state or anything where people most likely get married and stuff. But I can imagine that people are kind of more that way, anyways, anywhere in the country or in the world now. Don't you think?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't speak for LA in particular, but I do think it's worse there.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I really do think that in the cities in particular, I really do think the cities are just not the place to be anymore. And if you have started to develop a different way of life than what is the liberal norm, I don't think the cities are the place to be anymore.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's not that it's a biblical thing, but I feel like, because I know Cain, the son that killed his brother Abel, that he was what made him different was like Abel was like the farmer, the one who lived off the land, the country guy, and then Cain was the builder of cities. He was, and I think cities do represent like a fallen state. They don't usually bring out the best. There may be, hubs of technology and so forth, and you can see things on display in bigger and better ways, but it ends up destroying the humanity of people.
It's more entertaining. It's entertainment, seems like, because it's technology, there's more stuff to do to entertain you, but out in the middle of nowhere or something like that, it's more family driven. I think, it'd be ideal where your work is that you maintain your life for yourself, whether you're working in the yard, you're working on your house, everything you are working to have your life for your family. You're not just going to an office, and going back to your apartment in the city.
Yeah, I mean, people love to trash the South, and that's one of the things they have going for them. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near the South, but that's one of the things that I admire so much about
I admire that too.
part of the country.
And I think part of it too is that everybody wants what they don't have. So because because I grew up in California and LA, I like to see the snow. But if you talk to someone who grew up in the snow, they're like, "Get me out of here!
They're over it.
I want the sun and the beach." Son of a beach.
Oh man, you gotta try skiing though. You gotta try skiing.
I know. I love skiing. I snowboarded and skied, and I thought skiing was way more fun.
Yeah, I started out snowboarding. I ski now.
And skiing just seems more sophisticated. Like, it just seems like I used to think it was kind of dorkier. Like, oh, skiing isn't as cool. But now I'm like, no, skiing is like
It's more technical.
It's more like rich man stuff. I feel like it just seems more like a man with ski and a cool guy that's like young and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna snowboard. 'Cause it's cool.
So now that
snowboarding has a rebellious history comparable to skateboarding.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Exactly.
That's a good way to describe it.
So now that you're kind of waking up, are you kind of putting yourself in situations to try and do things for self, like fix your car, take things apart, and try and teach yourself those skills?
Yeah, well, cars are something I've always been into cars since, like, I shouldn't say always, but 16. I mean, my dad grew up building race cars.
Nice.
Did you hear my remix I made with Jesse, the No Manly Cars song?
No, I'll look it up.
Oh yeah, check it out. Type in No Manly Cars and then type in Trevor and it should pop up. But Jesse had a segment where he was talking about how there's no manly cars anymore.
Yeah.
So I made a remix of it.
I remember him talking about that on the show.
Check it out. I made a song out of it.
Yeah, I love all your music, bro.
Appreciate it, man. No manly cars.
really takes you back to the 50s
Yeah.
What,
I mean-
music or the cars?
in a good way.
The music or the cars?
The music.
The music,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
This was it.
Yeah, no, he's got a good style. But
Well,
I mean,
mainly the Chivalry is Dead song.
Oh,
That
yeah.
has a real 50s vibe to it.
Huh.
Which I like.
Yeah, I like the jazz. Like, I like the 40s. Like, the 40s
Big
jazz
band-
stuff.
big
Yeah, I like
band
that
and
kind of
swing.
stuff. Because I feel like the 50s was like doo-wah, shoo-wah, ba-doo-doo, you know?
Yeah,
Like, I don't
true.
do that kind of
I'm
stuff.
20, so don't take my word on decades of music.
No, you're good. I don't know much either. That's what I think of the 50s. I think of like,
well, like the 20s and 30s were like, I think,
The
like,
roaring
like yeah, the
20s.
roaring 20s. So you had
I like that. The
upbeat,
20s to the 40s is like,
yeah, super
the
upbeat,
jazz
big
was, like,
band,
cracking.
big horns.
yeah, I like that stuff. And there hasn't been any new flips on it, I don't think. I mean, Amy Winehouse kind of was, but was still very traditional. But I've always liked that, you know, and Michael Bublé, you know, but he never like reinvented it, you know, he just kind of did it as traditional as it is. But I want to make too more stuff that's like reinvented, so it's like current. It's interesting because like it's rare that you hear new genres of music. Like I remember when dubstep came out, that was like a brand new genre, you know?
Yeah, it's taken off farther than it should, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. Well, drugs taken off
Oh,
farther
that's
than
alright.
they should.
I mean,
too.
I'm open to everything, honestly.
Drugs have taken off farther than they should. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks
yeah.
for calling in, bud.
Thanks,
I know
man.
there's a guy from Arizona. We're gonna see if I can get him on the line.
Absolutely. Let's get some more callers. You guys have a good night.
You
too,
too,
bro.
man. All right, so
Peace out, guys.
bye. So Arizona caller, sorry, buddy. He beat you to it, but for the guy calling out of Tucson, Arizona, give us a call back. I know you're trying to get through. I do want to get you on the line. Sorry for the wait, but Arizona, call us back if you're still watching. Let's see. I think this is a Giovanni A in the chat. Uriel
Giovanni was cracking, bro.
He says Anthony Johnson was the first American slave owner. Tucson. Here we go.
How many sons do you have? Tucson.
What's up, Arizona? Good. Oh, you sound so much better. All right, perfect. Let me get you set up.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing alright. I had to call back.
You on Vicodin?
You sound sleepy.
I just got it home. I had to eat some dinner.
Nice.
Nice.
Got that itis?
Do you get the food coma
I
after
don't
you
want
eat?
to take too much of it.
What's on your mind, brother?
That's what I said.
Do you have any questions or comments for us, Arizona?
I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want a couple of questions. I
Yes,
love
sir.
the show.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
thanks, bro.
What was your first question?
I was wondering what do you think about all the cats and dogs that run around the neighborhood and no one's getting them out of here?
The cats and dogs. Literally speaking or metaphorical?
No, they're all over the streets and there's cats all over the park and there's no one picking the dogs up.
Is this in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What city?
No
In the
idea,
whole
man.
city.
No
Yeah.
idea. Is it maybe it was raining cats and dogs and then it stopped?
What about the cat? Are the cats responsible for what's happening in the world today?
Are you saying the cats are responsible for what's going on in the world today?
Are they?
I don't know. I think it's bigger than dogs and
It
cats.
could be, man, because there's a lot of pussies.
Yeah. And I just wanted another question, if you don't mind, is who are the zookeepers?
Who are the zookeepers?
The zookeepers, they're nobody because if there were zookeepers, then there wouldn't be a bunch of cats and dogs running around. You know what I'm saying?
Right. If the earth was flat, why do the squirrels exist?
What was the question?
If the earth was flat, why are squirrels existing?
Squirrels. I don't follow that question. I'm not sure.
I mean, you can't have squirrels without nuts.
Exactly, and the nuts are round.
You can have a flat nut.
I've never seen a flat nut.
What about a flat night? Like a fortnight?
Yeah.
Or midnight.
Right.
Well, Arizona, did you have any other pressing questions?
Yeah, where can I get some merch?
We don't have any merch yet.
Yeah,
but
there's no merch.
we'll let you know if we ever get around to that. But But you can check out Trevor's music on iTunes and Spotify.
Oh, I have one request. Can you sing a song, Stand Up?
Oh yeah. Huh?
Yes, sir.
How's it go?
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful night. I gotta go make some potatoes.
All right, man.
Here, this one's for you. We'll take you out. Take it easy, bud.
Take care, buddy.
I can only do my verse and the hook. I know we can live the life that we all desire. I know we can serve the God that we all admire. I know we can stand up and be true. I know we can be perfect just like you. I know we can find a way to man up and stand up for what's right if we give our plans up. I know we can have faith in the unseen while we stand up and get back to the way we were designed to be. Can find a way. I know we can find a way. I know we can find a way. Stand up. Hey, Big Bubba Joel. Stand up, we got fighting to do. He put that Viking in you, he put that lightning in you, igniting the truth. But you beg and blame the lion, hate, woman, what's planning to do. That's what you planning to do. You only planning to lose. Just talk to your mama when I talk, don't fall for Obama. Uniting the races with truth instead of lies from
the family by rebuilding the man. Back when boys used to be boys and men used to be men. Gotta live the right way, that's God's way. You're still stuck in a fallen state. Anger, resentment, judgment, hate. That's what's wrong with the world today. Wrestle not against flesh and blood. Principalities controlling us.
What was it? Principalities growing amok. Principalities growing amok.
Stand up. Potatoes aren't gonna make themselves. I like the way I like your style, Ara. Manny, you late. You're on CP time. It's all good. You're always on time here. So yeah, any last callers? We got quite a few guys hanging out here. Thank you guys for all hanging out with the chat and sticking around. So for any other callers, we do have a call line. Take any serious questions. Or, you don't have to agree with us. It's actually kind of nice when you have disagreements. You can learn something. 818-308-5559. Did you guys do this song when Joel was on? I think so. Yeah. Check out that episode. He sang his verse. Mic check. Joel Friday on the beat. That's right. So yeah. 818-308-5559. My friends who block me on IG should invite me to my wedding. Give us a call, stepdad. Ask us that question. That's a good question. You know the number. 818-308-5559. Amazing. My buddy, the Curious Realist, shared the stream. Thank you. I'm not sure if you're still in the chat, brother, but thank you.
Thanks, bro.
He's a based American, good white man, strong white man.
No white man is good.
But thank you, man. I really appreciate it. You are Mexican, Black Stepdad. Too lazy. How much should a person save up to move out of mamas? Just move out. You don't need to save up to leave moms. You have to spend your time to get skilled enough to survive out of the nest. Jake says, great song, Trevor.
Oh, thanks, brother.
So, Black Stepdad is lazy to call in, but he had a question.
I'm getting lazy too. I'm so
Yeah.
hot right now. I'm sweating.
He wants to know,
Pop tamale, I'm sweating.
for his friends who blocked him on IG, I know what I would say. Should he invite them to his wedding or not?
I mean, it depends on who they are. I mean, sometimes it's almost like, why not? You know, like, invite them to your wedding. You know, it's like, how do you say it? Like, you know, people that are hateful and angry, like a lot of people try to block you or whatever because they want to hurt you. Like, I'll show you. I'll just remove myself from your life. And if you're unaffected by it and you still don't, let it change who you are, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. Do you want them at your wedding, right? If you want them at your wedding, invite them. And a lot of times people, it's like, you don't give them that same energy. Keep that same energy, man. Then people end up looking at themselves, man. They probably be like, man, damn, I was a jerk to that guy, and he invited me to his wedding.
Me.
You know, like. But then it's like, it's like with women. I realize with girls you date or whatever. It's like if a girl does something and tries to make you mad or angry or whatever, and you just don't react, then all she can do is see herself. But if you react, then you're going to give her a reason to judge you, and then she'll never be able to see what she did because she's just caught up judging you and what you did.
I'd say screw him.
It depends. Yeah, I can't say. I don't know. It's like blocked you on Instagram. It's like, well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I had friends who are that emotional, and they don't care to ask me and figure out where I'm coming from, they just block me. I mean, are they really your friends? I don't know. Maybe it's in your thought.
That's true. That's true.
Like, I wouldn't consider that a friend. A friend would doesn't have to agree with me, but don't be a child about it. So why would I bring them? Just so they can bring that bad energy to my wedding? Get out of here.
Well, I only said that because chances are if they blocked you on Instagram, chances are they're not going to come anyways.
Yeah.
But at least that's something to know. Like, hey, I don't hate you.
Yeah, you can do like a dig. Like, even though you block me, you're still more than welcome to come to my wedding. And then when I get there, you give them the worst seat in the house.
You blocked me on Instagram, but I didn't block you from my wedding.
Giovanni says it. Yeah, inviting them doesn't guarantee that they'll unblock you in their heart.
Right. I block a lot of people nowadays. The ones that come on my page and troll me, like a lot of people don't even follow me. They just lurk and then leave snide comments or whatever, and I just block them. Or, people that are always negative. Like, there's these people that I've known for a long time, right? They don't comment on my stuff about music or anything positive, right? They don't like my stuff. I forget they even follow me. And then I'll say something or, that they disagree with and they pop out of the bushes. Like, I'm like, oh, damn, you exist? I didn't even know that. So they just, follow me to judge me because they like to be combative.
It's Schmitty.
Schmitty.
Gentlemen, how
What's
you
cracking,
doing?
Schmitty?
That's my jam.
That's your jam. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Oh, man, cannot complain. I woke up today.
Hey, it's a great day.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you guys, did you guys see Elmo and his dad
Elmo?
staying on Jesse?
Who was it?
Well, Elmo and his dad were talking about racism.
Elmo? Like
Jesse did it.
Sesame Street Elmo?
Jesse, yeah, Elmo, Sesame Street, he was talking about racism.
What? I
His
didn't see
dad.
that. When was this?
Jesse had it on his show today.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't.
Today?
I didn't see it. I don't have to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys know anybody out in LA that, can create animation or anything? I think we really need to make a kids show that rivals over garbage.
Oh, man.
At least that's what I'm interested in doing.
Stay close to your phone if you can, because I had a hard time understanding you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you better. If we can have, that's what we gotta do. Is not like just take it back. Like, take programming back. Like, have morals to stories. Yeah. Have good examples where the bad guy always loses, so the kids learn those lessons the way it used to be. Like, Aesop's fables, and where it makes you want to be a virtuous person because you want to do what's right.
I was thinking that too with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, because if you go under the hashtag, all there is anti-white stuff about blacks
Yeah.
unjustly. But what if you just started posting all situations where Black Lives Matter? Because, that's where they're losing to me. Is that it's like Black lives do matter, but it seems like they only matter in certain instances. It should matter all the time.
Right.
And if you're on a large scale, the biggest problem is in the inner cities. The black on black crime is way more of a problem.
Yeah, I have 2 kids, so since about 2009, I've watched tons of today's cartoons, man, and it's all garbage.
Oh, it's
Oh,
garbage.
yeah.
So, I mean, there's got to be people, and I mean, for my kids, I would like them to have an alternative, so,
And then they're
you know,
banning.
I can't,
They're banning the old cartoons like Elmer Fudd and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
you can't even play the old ones anymore because they're getting rid of them.
right, I mean, I don't know, man, if you guys know any artists that want to draw, man, I've got a million ideas, but I can't draw or do any of that kind of stuff. I want to, I'd use my free time to work on it if you guys know anybody.
I mean, I knew a guy when I grew up. He was an animator, but I don't keep touch with him. But
Right.
if you have Trevor or the pros and cons, if you have Instagram, shoot us a DM for some of the ideas. There might be some guys. I know there's one guy that goes to church with us. He's a really good artist, so I can run it by him, and he does animation. So maybe it could inspire him to take it and roll with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm following you guys on Instagram, so I'll private message you and be in touch about that.
Amazing. Yeah, and I kind of
All right.
I want to write a kids book. I think that's another thing too. Is like just write, like make books again. Like write children's books that have good stories. Like Bernadine
Yeah.
Barber. I don't know if you follow her online. She's a conservative Christian woman.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah. I think all that stuff would be great. I mean, Trevor shared the video that Kobe Bryant did. I mean, man, it's garbage.
Yeah.
But all right, man. I'll let you guys get back to it. I'll talk to you later, man. You guys
Okay.
have a
All
good
right, take care, bro. See you later.
night. Later.
Living in the city.
All right. Well, I think that's a good amount of time. I think we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Let me see if there's anything I missed in the chat. Black food matters. That's right. I love chicken. Elmer Fudd got the Arm and Hammer now. Bring back Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, I don't think it's good for kids, but it is pretty funny. Aro says, if you want someone to paint for you, you have to pay them. The only way you get to use someone else's skills is if you pay.
I was thinking the same thing. It depends on who it is. If it's like a kid that wants to have opportunity to develop the skills or whatever, you might find somebody like that. But anybody who's really good at what they do,
Should be
they're going to want to
compensated.
get paid for it. They're going to want, time is money. I remember a lot of times people would, especially friends and stuff, they would just want me to do stuff for them. And it's like, this is how I make a living. You don't ask a dentist to come like, hey man, you can work on
Yeah.
me for free.
You can do a couple cavity fills.
I got a great